Welcome, everybody, to Race 7 of the ABN AdminBoxx Cup Series. We come to you from Atlanta Motor Speedway. We were here on Sunday, and we're here once again on Wednesday, throwing it back a little bit to the 2009 version of the track. The bumps and the character come alive here in Hampton, Georgia for the Henderson Graphics 200. I'm Carmen alongside me as always, Kevin Young for tonight's action. Kevin, we're back to traditional Atlanta, all the bumps and grandeur that this track provides. It's a difficult track. What have these drivers been dealing with so far in practice?
Well, it's been a bit of a pain, if you will, to a degree, as it's the old bumpy Atlanta, so these cars already being a bit on the unstable side already are making it a bit more trickier to try to get that car planted through some corners. Other than that, we're seeing kind of traditional oval running. We kind of run that high groove. You run that to the wall in the back stretches, back stretches, hit to the corners on the corners, get to the inside line, and then when you get to the tri-oval, bring it on down to the middle. But we are going to see some drivers definitely try that middle to high groove as the run goes on as well, and maybe try a bit of a different approach. But right now, it's looking at like a 1.5 groove for racetrack at the moment.
So the information there on your screen, this 1.54 mile oval. It's an intermediate with a lot more character. Right now on track, we have several cars as drivers keep filing their way on in right before qualifying begins. One of those drivers on track for the first time in the ABN AdminBoxx Cup Series, it's Dustin Hall, 8-time race winner in the HTL Cup Series. Hall currently sits in 4th place, the Team Conti number 3 from Utah, making his debut tonight. He's sitting right already near the top of the standings with practice about to conclude here in the next 3 minutes. A lot of cars still filing their way in, including Emily Howell. Series has been dominated by the 83 for Prismatic Motorsports. Doesn't matter if it's been a super speedway, intermediate, short oval, you name it, Emily Howell can win on it. One last time out 2 weeks ago at Bristol. Now looking to do the same here. First laps of practice underway for the 83, 12th fastest so far. Also on track, it's the duo for Henderson Graphics, or for Tombstone Motorsports, Alfred Denny, and then obviously
Blake Henderson.
Obviously the person behind Henderson Graphics, Blake Henderson, sitting as they both run. This is Henderson's home track, Atlanta, Georgia. Henderson already finding himself a little bit loose. Started this off to get things kicked off here with 2 minutes left in practice.
Should be knowing Alfred Denny running a new paint scheme here. He used to run the DeWalt Tools one. Now is running that 17 machine, another Matt Kenseth expired scheme from that Gen 4 era here. So nice little new deets for Alfred Denny as he's doing laps around here, currently sitting as he finishes that lap. Gonna put him only up to P16 at the moment, but obviously practice laps not indicative of race pace.
Yeah, Denny and Henderson, obviously two drivers that, just like with Emily Howell, just now starting their practice, jumping in at the very end of the session to get ready for tonight's event. Nick Presti currently top of the board ahead of Ruby Acosta and John Hagan, who are currently top 3. Gonna be a pretty interesting event here. 130 laps, 200 miles total for the race here this evening. So practice winding down, qualifying about to begin. We're going to figure out who's going to start this race on pole position tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be quite interesting. We know, looking at practice, we run, again, not indicative, but Nicholas Presley, Ruby Acosta, John Hagan, top 3, Emily Howell now 4th. So it's a who's who in the top 4, with Dustin Hall being the lone driver that we don't have. We have data from in other series, but we don't have much information on in the ABN Cup Series, being the debutant. So we'll have to see how he all plays out. But that top 4 is what you usually see top in the qualifying sessions, week in and week out, here in the AdminBoxx Cup Series.
Press the center of your screen right now. The fastest driver in the session as the checkered flag flies. Finished third, his first podium of the season 2 weeks ago at Bristol. Looking to carry that momentum forward as we now get into qualifying.
It looks like we're going to wait as it loads in. Who will be lucky number 1? Head on the track first. It's a race between Christina Ryan, John Hagen, Sharp, and Presley. And it looks like it's going to be...
It looks like it's going to be Nick Presley.
John Hagen. Oh, I got John Hagen first, but either John Hagen or Nicholas Presley photo finish at the line. Regardless, both drivers in the top 4 in practice, so they could be definitely good torch bearers to show us what a good lap around Atlanta would be and let the rest of the field chase that time as well. Nicholas Presley may have to go back to the pit lane here to take another attempt. So let's check with John Hagen.
And Hagen finds the wall. So he'll reset here. So it's going to end up pivoting to Lily Peltier Sharp, who did the same
And she just
thing.
hit the wall.
Driver
So it's going to go to
struggling
Christina
big
Ryan.
time. Driver struggling massively here.
Yeah.
As we
3
get
different
ready.
drivers hit the wall on their out laps. Luckily, that will not interfere with any of their laps. They'll still get 2 more laps.
Yeah.
See Christina Ryan rocking a new paint scheme, this Henderson Graphics black and red machine. Bit of a different color arrangement than we usually see her in. What can she do in this Toyota Camry?
That is the magic question we're going to find out here over these next few really these next couple laps. Coming to the start-finish line, last year's world champion.
Ooh, Emily Howe goes top of the board here. Dustin Hall splits her and Christina Ryan. And Christina Ryan struggled there off of 2, trying to save it.
Still struggling.
Yep, and that's going to be a throwaway for lap 2. So that first lap is all she's going to get. And she'll block it down, take it back to the pit lane. We'll see if she attempts to just kind of putt around for the second lap. But that is all she's going to get out of it. And she's probably going to wish she went a little bit faster, but still not a bad time. 31.20.
Pressy just went second fastest. Does Dustin Hall go faster on his second lap? He does, but not enough. Josh Gaiman goes second fastest.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone
Now the pressure's
closing in.
on.
John Hagen leaving pit lane once again. Series rookie's been behaving like a pro all season long. That 52 car, however, still looking for its first trip to victory lane. Starting position means a lot here. So
Yep.
We'll see if he can get it put together here. Outside lane. It's a little bit bumpier, a little bit more abrasive. Using all that rotation to get momentum to start this lap. Emily Howe, top of the board. Josh Gaiman second. Then Hall, Pressy, Wright, Christina Ryan, Zier, Alfred Denny, the 9 that have set a lap time so far.
Mm-hmm.
But
Some
the
drivers
Sharp's first lap not counting.
Yep, she looks like she smacked the wall at least a little bit there. Drivers obviously finishing the first lap here, including obviously we're watching on with John Hagen here. Gonna play his first lap along with Zach McBride and Toby Estes. All gonna come up and finish the first lap in the next half a second here. So here comes John Hagen. What can he do for lap number 1? That's gonna be good enough for P2, just without a sniff away from Emily Howe. So see if that 52 machine can find more time in that second lap, and a wall tap will end those chances. So P2 is the highest he'll go for now. We'll cut down for Denny in the 17. This is starting first lap as he is on his first lap right now. First lap does seem to be the money lap, and the trouble corner is that second one as the car's a little bit loose there. Second corner has been the troublemaker for both Christina Ryan, Nicholas Presley, and a few others. Exits of corners. So see if he can keep this thing planted. It's not going to be the quickest, because that little bobble, but he'll probably set himself up nicely for lap number 2. Cross the line for the 17.
12
And
fastest.
only be good enough, yeah, for 12th.
Yeah, 4 drivers that have yet to set a time. Callie Height, Ruby Acosta, Blake Henderson, and Logan McKenzie. With a
Callie
little over
Height
5
on-
minutes left.
Mm-hmm. Callie Height on her first lap. The other 3 drivers have not even left the pit lane as we speak. So Alfred Denny, lap number 2. Only driver on a second lap right now. So we'll see what he can do. Can he get himself any higher? Looks a little bit more smooth there. Got as close to the wall as he dared. Cross the line. Did he improve? He did, but did not go any higher. Tied Lilac Zaire for 11th. And Callie Height on her first lap pops at 13th.
And she'll find the wall on her second lap.
Yep, so that's another driver you can say threw away the second lap. Now we'll cut to Logan McKenzie. Debutant last week at Bristol. Good qualifying session. Wish he finished a little bit stronger. We'll see what he can do here on his run. Now it's a mad scrum for the end of pit lane here as the clock is ticking down. Acosta and Henderson have both entered the pit lane. They're going to be starting their laps relatively soon as well.
McKenzie biding his time. Tiptoeing around. First lap underway for the 4. Irish George joining in as well, ensuring we have 19 cars tonight.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be a rush against the clock if he can get both laps in for Alfred George.
McKenzie,
lap number 1.
Out of 4.
Oof.
For car 04, McKenzie across the line for lap 1. 14th fastest, 31.32.
Let's see how aggressive he is in 1 and 2 here. We've seen a lot of drivers drift up to that wall. They'll keep it planted, so it's looking at least good to prove on lap number 2. Thing looks a little loose, but it looks very planted, which is something that can work, but usually you want a little bit of bite in that car to make it go just a tad faster. So here comes lap number 2 for Logan McKenzie in the 04. Can he improve on lap number 1 as other drivers have put down times? Across the line for McKenzie. He improves enough for P8, just behind Ruby Acosta, who just set her first run, coming for her second. Here's Blake Henderson, in the 25. He is also on his just completed his first lap, good enough to go P10. Looking to try to get a little bit more comfortably in the top 10 here if he can put down a better lap number 2.
As it sits, the only driver not settled time yet is Irish George, who we know is joining in late. Henderson, second lap, may not be quick enough. It is not. McKenzie went faster on his lap, but not enough. Irish George will roll out in time.
Yep.
Last question mark as he struggles to put the power down on pit exit and tags the wall there. He'll reset. He'll still have time to set those 2 laps.
Yep, it's about a minute to do 2 laps, so he'll be more than fine.
It'll be our 19th car to set a lap time here
if he even elects
at Atlanta.
He'll go again. So, bearing any last-second entries, it is going to be either Alfred George or Emily Howe. Can Alfred George be the driver to stop the pole domination, or at least one of the strong qualifiers in Emily Howe, and take away another pole from her name? Or will be Alfred George from the Bahamas taking his first pole in the AdminBoxx Cup Series? We'll find out in about a minute and a half.
Oh, really started a 4 for Irish George.
Yeah, that car looks kind of struggling right now. Almost hits the wall, or just tapped the wall a little bit. Really struggling to get the power down, it seems. I'm hearing the engine.
I was ready to hear him feathering the throttle there as he rolls through.
First lap did not count because of the wall. Actually, it did count. My mistake. Only going to be good for 34.68. Needs to find a lot of time to even gain a spot here.
These are almost installation laps with how this lap looks. Just trying to find the balance and trying to figure out what this car is doing. For Irish George, almost. You can see him fighting every single corner. Cross the line that time. Will shave time off, but will stay 19th fastest.
And that will be all she wrote for qualifying as the death of the session ticks down here. It'll be Emily Howe and John Hagan on your front row.
Next up will be warm-up and driver's meeting. So we'll still have a picture of the track, but you won't hear us for a few minutes as we go through driver's meeting. The qualifying is going to wind down, and Emily Howell once again on pole position as we get ready to go here at Atlanta. It's Emily Howell, John Hagan, Josh Gaiman, and Dustin Hall that'll be in the front too as we cover the full qualifying order here in a few minutes' time. Alrighty, less than 2 minutes left here in warm-up as everyone gets ready to go. Went through the drivers' meeting here. So, we'll kind of walk through things as we get ready to go for this race. Emily Howe comes in as the championship leader, 336 points ahead of Nick Pressey, with Christina Ryan, Ruby Acosta, and James Gutta in the top 5. James Gutta not here tonight for the second week in a row, so that'll drop him in the points with John Hagan right behind. Another big absence here, Caitlin Height, not present as well, so both of those rebels will take a tumble as Blake Henderson and Callie Height look to try to make an advantage. Cassandra Winkelbauer moving to Germany, also not present tonight. Hopefully to get to see Cassandra back for the first road course of the season at Sonoma next week. Zach McBride in 11th, Bryce Saucier in 12th. Saucier not present tonight. Zach McBride is very important for him. Toby Estes here. Lily Peltier Sharp is here. Lilac Zier is here. Ryan Pinnell is here. For Estes, Sharp, Zier, and Pinnell, they're outside the top 12. They need to get into the top 12 to make it into the chase. They've got 6 races left to do it, including tonight, but the pressure beginning to rise for those drivers. Same with Josh Gaiman, who's missed a few races of his own. Qualified well, but can he get it to convert? First few races were rough for him as he tries to correct the course. Same with Alfred Denny. Matthew Kent, not present tonight. Currently on a traveling trip over in the Philippines. So we'll get to see him in a couple weeks' time. So, a lot of moving parts moving around here as we get ready to go. Time has elapsed here at Atlanta for the warm-up. Everyone's had a chance to dial their cars in, but now it's time for the main show. As we get ready to go here, this is again the information that we have going for us. 1.54 miles a lap around the Atlanta Motor Speedway. I'm Carmen alongside Kevin Young as we get ready for tonight's event. Everything coming up pretty good here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. 110 degrees the air temp, 85 degrees the air temp, 110 degrees the track temp as we get ready to go here. Starting grid, Emily Howe, pole position once more. Should be alongside John Hagan. So Emily Howe, the points leader, doing a phenomenal job. Sits with 2 poles this season, has not been dominant in qualifying. This will be a third. Row 2, it's Josh Gaiman and Dustin Hall. Dustin Hall debuting 8 race wins in HTL Cup Series competition. Looking to get one tonight here in Atlanta. Toby Estes and Nick Pressey. We talked about Toby Estes needing to have a good result to get into the top 12. Starting top 5, it's a good start there for that number 2 machine. Ruby Acosta and Logan McKenzie in row number 4. Logan McKenzie debuted 2 weeks ago at Bristol. Ruby Acosta sitting very firmly in the top 12 at the moment, but she'll be looking for a little bit more here, starting in that 7th position. Bradley Wright and Blake Henderson in the row 5. Bradley Wright having a lot to climb. Been on a part-time schedule for these first 7 races, but he's not outside. He's not outside by much of the top 12. Blake Henderson won at Daytona, trying to find a little bit of stability here. Top 10, a good chance to do that here tonight. Christina Ryan did not have a fun time in qualifying. Very opinionated about how she feels about this car so far, but a lot of time to make it work here. She'll be alongside Lily Peltier Sharp in row number 6. And looking further on down the order, Ryan Pinnell, Lilac Zier in row 7. Alfred Denny and Callie Height in row 8. Callie Height in the top 12. Looking to solidify that position in the points here tonight. We'll have to try to climb up a few positions, though, to make it happen. James Wright and Zach McBride sit in row number 8. And row 9 on his lonesome is Irish George for Presidential Racing. 19 cars present for tonight's race at a trickier Atlanta Motor Speedway as everything gets ready to go.
I think some drivers, I don't know how many drivers, let's be honest, but at least I bet you probably 1 or 2 drivers we're hoping we'd be using the new Atlanta instead of the current Atlanta, but I think a majority are obviously in the opposite camp. But regardless, it should be some good old-fashioned old-school racing here, even though it may be a bit tricky. as Olivia Hayward's kind of predicted in the chat, there may be some problems on lap 1 because of incidents of cold tires and wheel spins. We'll have to see how it all plays out in regard. But it's going to be quite fun to watch how this plays out, and it's going to be quite interesting to see if anyone can stop the domination train of Emily Howe as it's currently leaving the station. And if you can't catch on, she could be easily walking away with a championship. But still many races to go and a long way to go to the chase. It's not counter chicks for the hatch, but it's going to be a fun night here in Hot Atlanta.
It's Emily Howe, John Hagan, Josh Gaiman, and Dustin Hall top 4. Some of the best at the front of the field. Obviously, Gaiman looking for his first win, Hagan looking for his first win, Dustin Hall debuting in the series. As the field comes through turn 4, the pace cars in pit lane. The Henderson Graphics 200 is underway.
Ooh.
We're racing, and you see the wheel spin already.
I'm gonna say, you can see a lot of that wheel spin right there. Josh Gaiman did not get going there off the line. You can see the numbers struggling. Let's hope we can keep through one. Ruby Acosta looking a little squirrely as they're 3 wide. As we're going through here, everyone seems to be okay for the most part. As those tires get up the temperature,
Everyone tiptoeing.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on this, though, if we get some late race cautions or even cautions with differing strategies. We'll have to see how it all plays out. A little bit of barginess here for position 3, 4, and 5. As John Hall is going to fight it off, but first lap in the books, Emily Howe leads it, and they're still focused on this battle for 4th.
Dustin Hall, where he started, sitting in 4th ahead of Josh Gaiman. Acosta still struggling here. 3 wide there. It's Acosta, Henderson, and Christina Ryan right there at the fringe of the top 10. Everyone trying to get to the bottom. That's the name of the game. Logan McKenzie, the 04. Up a spot early. Trying to hold on to it. Trying to slot in between Toby Estes in that 2 and Christina Ryan in the 80. But Christina Ryan a full head of steam. First couple laps have been pretty well clear. Ruby Acosta stays very well in the high lane. Callie Height joins her teammates there for Queen's Design. As Callie Height's up 6 spots. In just 2 laps on lap 3 now. Callie Height on the charge in that 66 has moved into 9th place across the line. Quickly moving forward as the outside lane was devoid of traffic.
Yep. If you can capitalize that, it's a bit of a lane for being the bold, but if you can hold the car and get it planted, you can gain some spots before you have to jump back in to make it happen. As you can see it just a little bit up the road, you can see the 29 there of Briley Wright had a bit of an incident. He is going to be caught here by the pack in a quick jiffy here. But other than that, Emily Howe slid his way, but is getting kind of slowly caught by the Hagan, Presley, and Hall, as Hall just got around to move for 3rd there. But you can see Presley falling to the clutch. It's just a big pack there for 2nd on back. It's very hard to decide what to cover here.
Right now, and it's going to be frantic right now, and you're going to see drivers, it's the ebb and flow that we're going to be establishing in this race. So currently, especially in the early moments, you have drivers on the outside line now, and people are seeing the pace that's being pushed right now by Acosta, by Callie Height, now by Blake Henderson, who's moved up high. The outside lane so far paying early dividends. The question is how much of that is going to hold itself and hold that test once tires begin to significantly wear. That right front will begin to significantly blister and grain. And those on the outside line will be wearing out that right front a little bit more significantly than those that are staying on the bottom. It's so easy to want to jump up high because you see how quick it's going as Acosta moved up to the top 5. But how long will that last? How much will that hold is the next genuine question. The outside lane will be as it typically is for plate tracks. That's the place for the shakers and movers. But it's working here at Old Atlanta as well.
Yeah, we saw that happen at Bristol last week. I think we also saw it a little bit at Kentucky where that high line was the daring lane. It was the situation, the line, like you said, it was the movers, shakers lane.
Yeah.
However, as the tires wore, drivers would have to move down or change their line to make it work. So we'll have to see right now, it's a capitalization lane. And again, for short runs, it's definitely worth exploring. But longer runs, you can't rely on that lane forever or else you may end up getting swallowed by the pack. But we saw last week, Hagan, Presley at Bristol were able to easily capitalize by using that super high line.
And you're seeing right now, I think that transition period has kind of begun Ruby Acosta got to the top 5, really couldn't get clear of Toby Estes in that 2 machine. But Toby Estes missed Bristol after wrecking out at Kentucky, his home race, a few weeks ago. But now Acosta moving to the bottom line. I think they've gained their positions here. Acosta's qualified in 7th place, has moved to the inside lane here as Toby Estes moves to the outside lane. Cali Height now sitting closer to the middle of the track here. Opening laps. I think people were kind of expecting a caution to be an early sort of a tone setter, and that hasn't happened. It has still been frantic, but it's been more organized, more structured in its chaos this evening so far. A little bit of struggle there for Logan McKenzie. That 04, a little loose out of 4, going through the tri-oval, but he keeps the plan. He keeps on the inside lane. Drifts up a little bit. Christina Ryan trying to hold on here as well. Very much not happy with how that car is feeling right now. We mentioned that in the pre-race. She hits it down in 11th, where she qualified.
Yep. It's a kind of
almost 4 wide.
Yeah, it's a growers and shakers track right now, and you forget.
Whoa! Oh, there's trouble.
That's Christina Ryan and Winkle. That's
Lil Peltier Sharp.
Thank you, Lil Peltier Sharp. Similar paint scheme because the Gear Cats machine, but different colors. Quick evation there, but that is probably going to be just the back end kicked out. And there was nowhere to go for the 18 to just had to pile in there.
That wasn't even, I don't think that was even a kick out. I think there was contact that drew that between Ryan and I believe it would have been McKenzie. We'll go back and look at it here in a second, but I believe there was contact that drew that. And Christina Ryan, just as it did 2 weeks ago at Bristol, race starting off very miserably for that 80 car, who is not happy right now.
Yeah, and I worry that car is even going to be fixable. It does look like it's okay, but it's definitely going to be lacking of speed. So here's the replay of what happened.
And you see Christina Ryan side by side with Josh Gaiman, not Logan McKenzie, ahead of Logan McKenzie there in the 04 machine. We're going to play this in slow motion here. We're going to move to a blimp camera here as they come out of turn 4. And yeah, Christina Ryan just kind of drifts up there a little bit into the 61 of Josh Gaiman. Teammates there for Stepping Stone.
Has it saved almost, and then it's a little bit of an arrow push there, a little contact from Sharp, and then that sends it up into the wall. Driver side impact there.
Yeah, it's so hard, especially when you're already fighting the car handling as much as it is, to try to get that car in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
we'll go
taking
on
a
board
look
with
here.
Peltier Sharp.
Yep. Just a little touch there. Almost has it saved. And if Sharp wasn't there, I think she may have gotten it saved. But with Sharp right there, just nowhere to go for either driver, and ends up putting some good damage on 2 race cars.
We're on board with Christina Ryan here. Rolling through the corner, just tags the side of Josh Gaiman's machine. It's not as heavily damaged as I thought it was to begin with.
Maybe
it looked a lot more significant.
Yeah.
But with that all being on the driver's side, that's going to be a significant hindrance to the race's chance. And we'll kind of look at this here. And remember, they're 3 wide here. Gaiman's having to kind of keep an eye to make sure he doesn't drift into Blake Henderson. And that's the bad part about being in the middle of a 3-wide situation, is that you don't know. It's so hard to keep your head on a swivel when you're trying to get around both cars, or when you're trying to really navigate both lanes there. Especially with how much Henderson had already been struggling in this race with handling, had really started to fall backwards heavily. Christina Ryan comes out of pit lane. We're looking at live pictures now. Yep.
Should be worth noting as we are watching Christina Ryan. That thing looks a little bit skewed at the best. It should be worth noting that one driver stayed out. Zaire. Yeah. Stayed out. Every other driver electing to come in to get fresh tires, as obviously you know in this track eats tires for breakfast. It is worth noting. So it's going to be interesting because this is what I was talking about as we were coming to the restart here and we saw it. old tires versus new tires. Obviously, the advantage is going to be with the new tires. That's not, I'm saying like the 89 is going to be very strong, but it should be worth noting, at least on that opening restart, Zaire is going to be at the very least a little bit better off because those tires are a little bit more worn, a little bit more warmer than the cold, fresh, new tires that the rest of the field has. So we saw in the first lap, there's a little bit of a argy-barginess with drivers trying to keep it straight. We'll see if any other driver maybe falls in the trap here on the second restart.
Yeah, very interesting decision there by Zier to try to make something happen. Elvis George parked the car after 7 laps, kind of collecting his points there. Louis Peltier Sharp, a lap down. Only car 1 lap down, still running. As we get back
green
underway.
Flag, and away we go. You can already see a little bit in the back there with McKenzie and Height. A little situation there where just a little bit of the power problem right there we were talking about, but it looks like everyone else is relatively planted, but you could just see the tire advantage right there. Everyone moving around that 86. 89, I should say, like it's no one's business, and she's just gonna kind of just get sloshed here, and she's
I think
already
that's kind of
outside the top 10.
I think that's kind of voluntary from Zier, though. Zier did not have any get up and go, almost like it started in second gear, and obviously getting out of harm's way as quickly as possible as the brunt of the field makes its way by within the first lap of this green flag period. Zier drops down to 15th place. Peltier Sharp, the only car off the lead lap at the moment. If she can keep her nose clean this time around, if a caution comes out again, she'll be back on lead lap via the free pass.
Yes.
Emily Howe leads the way, though. Back out front.
Toby S has made a move for second, and we'll get around Hall, Dustin Hall for third. So that Blue Deuce is on his way to the front, is looking to try to take the lead here.
And moving the outside lane there. Toyota, Dodge, Chevrolet, top 3. Best Ford running right now, top 5. Henderson moves to the top 5, so it's kind of paid off dividends for him.
And then you got a Pontiac in 6th. Well, it's now it's Pontiac in 6th with a Chevy in 7th.
That was Acosta, Pressey, and Height that battle for 6th place. A little bit further on back. Toby Estes leads the way. Taking it too.
We saw this at Bristol. We saw this at the tracks. Emily Howe kind of playing a bit of possum, if you will. She knows she doesn't have to go hard. Yeah, she doesn't have to go hard out here. She knows it's a tire in track. Save what I got and let Toby Estes or let whoever's behind me burn their stuff up. And then when they are at the cliff, I have a little bit of life left in my tires. That's when we'll pounce.
Reminds me a little bit more of Kentucky because of how Rudy Valentine raced that track. And obviously it was an off strategy call by Emily Howe. Really kind of just maintain her strategy throughout that race, whereas everyone pivoted to one strategy or another. That got Emily Howe that race win at the end of that race at Kentucky back in June, almost a month ago.
Honestly, it's a situation where there's so many Emily Howe dominating performance where you could say she pulled something off with tire wear or a good save in the tires. They start to blend together after a while. But Toby Estes is still pulling away here, getting some distance. Emily Howe under pressure here for second.
By Dustin Hall, yeah. This is something that was I had it earmarked a little bit. Dustin Hall, one of the best drivers that's ever raced an HTL competition, now kind of mixing it up. Obviously, Team Conti versus Prismatic, Team Conti versus Tombstone, Team Conti versus Stepping Stone. Some big teams in the fray here. Dustin Hall kind of stepping and going toe-to-toe with the driver with the most wins so far this season. Emily Howe, 4 wins out of the first 6 races, but now facing some serious challenge early on as Henderson makes his way forward on his home track. John Hagan staying in the top 5 as well, doing a good job in that 52 for Jacob Schengle Racing as a 1-car effort. Josh Gaiman in 6th, Ruby Acosta in 8th behind Nick Cressy, Alfred Denny in 9th, Kelly Height dropping back out of the top 10 just a little bit. Lilac Zier realized how off pace she was, pit down, and went 2 laps down, actually, on that pit stop. So something went amiss there for Zier, that she had to come down pit lane, and now we'll need a little bit of a miracle to get back into this race as this race steps along, lap 22 of 130.
Yep, I've seen crazier things happen. So let's not counter out of this one yet, but odd strategy call, maybe something more, like you said, serious happened, per se, with the car. So I'll have to see how it all plays out here, but not the day she wants to have. It should be worth noting as well as I'm kind of working right through the field here, kind of looking at the board. The driver that got saved by that caution, Briley Wright. Remember, he was just barely ahead of the leaders as the laps were ticking by there, and he got that caution to stay on the lead lap. So right now, even though he's 14th, he is a lot better off than where he was about 10 laps ago.
Yeah, sitting in between a couple of stepping stone cars. That's Zach McBride in 13th, James Wright in 15th, ahead of Christina Ryan, who is still wounded. And that car looks every bit of the woundedness that it has been. And unfortunately, with Christina Ryan not quite in a position of Bristol where traffic's going to be able to help her out, really, she will beat the traffic here before too awful long as things keep going. A miserable mid-season run of form for Christina Ryan. Obviously, locked into a top 5 at Bristol 2 weeks ago, thanks to a late race caution ending that race early.
Yeah,
but
she's had a couple rounds where she's had some kind of just either, I wouldn't say checkers records, but a situation of just either she's finishing strong or she's not really finishing at all. Ooh, Zach McBride gets a little loose off the corner there, gets it saved on the backstretch. Just a little bit watching a little further back there, but that could have almost been a bad incident there. But we keep it green as we keep an eye on the leaders here. And Emily Howe's falling down the third, but I don't think she's going to stay there that long.
They're both gaining on Toby Estes here. Dustin Hall kind of towing Emily Howe back towards the front of the field. They've left a little bit, almost 8/10 of a gap here between Howe and John Hagan. And then a little bit further back, and also you look at Josh Gaiman, you look even further back to the big cork in the bottle being Nick Pressey in 6th place there. But the top 3 closing in once again as the battle about to really pick up and kick off here for the lead of this race as we enter lap 26. Best laps of the race, a low 31s typically. Fast lap by Toby Estes, a 31.2. They're already down to the 32.5s. That's how quickly these tires wear here at Atlanta.
Yeah, you're going to have to keep those sets nice and fresh here. And that's where, again, people that save tires quite well are going to be very strong, while drivers that maybe burn tires up quite quickly are going to be in trouble in that regard.
As they closed in on the race lead, Ruby Acosta, really a big separation there between Acosta and Pressey. And now Acosta's under threat there in 7th place. Mackenzie, Denny, Callie Height, and Blake Henderson all in this fray, as is Ryan Pinnell. 2 home drivers there with Henderson and Pinnell, both from Georgia, just outside of Atlanta. Henderson from Atlanta, Pinnell from Good Hope. Back up to the front.
Yeah, Ruby Acosta was kind of going the wrong way there. She was in that, a couple laps ago, she was in that battle with Gaiman and Presley for 5th. And she's kind of sinking like a bit of a stone here, and she's falling to the pack number 2. But now we'll cut back, like you said, to the lead battle here. Again, Estes falling into the clutches. He kind of got that run, but like you said, we look at the lap times. He's running a 10th slower than Hall and Howe are. So, but he's still keeping relatively okay pace. But okay is not really good enough when you got 2 very fast drivers behind.
Yeah, 2 of the very best in the ABN AdminBoxx Cup Series, Dustin Hall and Emily Howe chasing down Toby Estes. It's been a very interesting run for the Bandit Racing crew. Bradley Wright, a 2-time pole sitter in this series. Typically, Toby Estes is the torchbearer of the 2 for the Bluegrass Bandits, but Bradley Wright's had the more impressive stat line compared to Toby Estes. Toby Estes sitting 13th in points, though. I don't think he's complaining too awful much by a race quite as good as this so far, getting some clean laps out front. It's about to change, though, as they almost went 3 wide through the tri-oval.
You know, I see getting a little bit hungry here. John Hagan has also joined the fray as well. You can see them in 4th, so he's here to join the battle as well. And a bit of a gap to Gaiman in 5th. And Toby Estes right there, stuck on that high side, going to open the door for Hall. Hall's going to have the inside line here for 3 and 4. See if he can finish the job here.
Toby Estes sends it through the opening there. 3 and 4, going to stay level. This is traditional Atlanta stuff. Estes gets a little bit loose there. And it will be 3 wide for the tri-oval this time. Howe moves to the bottom. Hall in the middle. Estes up high. Toyota, Chevy, and Dodge.
Front and center. Land. Yeah, bit of a no man's land there for Toby Estes. Stuck in a bad spot in old tires. He just clips the wall there. He's ends up going to be the big loser here. Gaiman has to take base action. I think he almost hits the wall in his own regard. So that highlight is officially where you do not want to be. And Emily Howe back to the points, as now John Hagan looking like to be the thief here, as he's gone from 4th to 3rd, almost the 2nd here, if he can keep his foot in it and keep himself on that corner panel. But it looks like he'll slot back into 3rd. So Tobias is the big loser there, ends up losing 3 spots and falls down to 4th.
Yeah, he pushed really hard in the opening stanza trying to get to the race lead. Held it for a few laps, but now those tires beginning to fall away. James Wright pit as well. Zier coming back down pit lane, and Zier's race is actually over after 27 laps. He'll be classified as 18th. James Wright came down pit lane. They were not involved in the same incident together. James Wright having to come down for I believe coming down for a fresh set of tires, did not feel comfortable. Drivers have multiple sets of tires available. They can make those pit stops, but it's more effective to try to save those tires and make those stints go a little bit longer. Cuts out quite a bit of time if you can stretch these tires out based on the fuel window instead of just based off of the tire grip. 15 cars on the lead lap right now. Christina Ryan still last car on the lead lap as we get ready to finish lap 33 of 130.
And that's what you kind of see here. It's a strategy element. Like you said, you want to get these tires to the certain window. You want to get to the point. But for some, it's better to come in and get the tires even if you lose time, because it's better than being the caution or doing damage to the car that way, even if it puts you off sequence. Because some just want to finish. Some want to get some good points. As we watch this battling for second, right on the outside, you got Hall and Hagan. Oh, they touched there.
And good save by Dustin Hall.
Save it. Yeah.
Really good save.
In the back, Costa also gets in the water. A little bit of an incident with Presley as well. Presley up the surface. He'll keep it straight, too. Another save in the backstretch.
That was Blake Henderson that saved as well. I saw Henderson's little maneuver there. He drops down to 13th behind Pinnell and Bradley Wright, but everyone beginning to lose a little bit of grip. Ooh. There's a look at Ruby Acosta. There's Callie Hyde. Ruby Acosta really loose now in that number 40.
Mm-hmm. She was struggling about 5-10 laps ago, and it's getting worse here.
It's
just a regard. Yeah. And now she's just trying to pray to get to the fuel window here. She knows if she can get there, it's for the best. But at the same point, if she's losing too much time, she may need to come in, because you don't want to try to wreck it in order to try to get to that window.
Very differing mentality strategy-wise compared to typical ABN events. Typically, ABN events, you have enough set of tires for your scheduled amount of stops and then +1.
Mm-hmm.
There's a surplus of tires in this series per race, so you can have a little bit more flexibility. You can pit according to preference, not according to window. The issue is that if you pit according to preference, not according to window, you're almost certainly giving up
time.
It's at least a little bit of time. You're going to give up at least a lap and a half based off of how things are currently running. 32-second lap times, 33-second lap times, excuse me. Now the pace to run, 33.2 is the margin you need to be close to if you're trying to match up with the leaders. And obviously, the further down we go, right now Ruby Acosta running 33.4 is not a bad gap difference there. 0.2 a lap, not terrible, especially compared to those that are running right now in the 34s. But right now for Acosta, just hoping and praying, and obviously white knuckles as you grip that steering wheel as tight as possible. Ruby Acosta, even through the tri-oval, just stepping out sideways, almost drifting through anything that has to deal with any radius of rotation, is almost a drifting corner there, and that is a drift there by Acosta, stepping that car out askew massively, trying to hold on to that 7th position behind Logan McKenzie.
Yep. Just trying to keep the power, trying to keep it, and just that's the pressure. Like you can see, some cars and some drivers getting very spaced out here. Not much pressure behind or ahead, so they kind of can just run their own race. But if you're in a battle, you can't afford to kind of let your foot off the gas here. Like we watched here for the battle for second, Hagan and Hall. They've been at each other's throats for the past couple laps here, and neither driver really is going to give an inch here. It's went from Hall to Hagan, Hagan to Hall, and it's in turn the A to kind of burn up the stuff a bit, but it's also allowed Tobias and Joshua Gaiman to stay within distance of second place. So it's a regard of they can't relax on their morals and kind of fall back into the clutches.
Remember, everyone pit at the end of lap 12, with the exception of McBride and Wright, who pit on 36 and 28 respectively. 2 cars out of this race, Zier and George, officially out of this one. 14 cars on the lead lap, with obviously Zach McBride coming down pit lane. He took an early pit stop there. John Hagen sitting in second place as Emily Howe.
Ooh, pit stop for Gaiman.
Yeah, pit stops have begun. It was kind of called there in our live chat that the windows seemed to be opening for those that wanted to make it on 2 more stops. Gaiman and Pressey both came down pit lane that time, so we believe that you're looking at our race leaders will try to stretch it out a little bit further and really make sure that they cut out an extra stop here. Remember, 130 laps, lap 40. If you're pitting every 38 laps, that's not a good omen. That's an extra stop. If you're trying to make this on 2 more stops, you're ideally trying to make it to about lap 50.
Yeah, you are correct.
Big question is if you can.
Yeah, because it's interesting because you figure with some of the times running, Gaiman and Estes could have went maybe a little bit longer on the stint. I feel like they were running okay pace, but like Gaiman was keeping up with that top pack. Estes was falling a little bit back, but for other drivers that I figured maybe would have pitted or have pitted yet have not actually blinked yet down pit lane. So it's very interesting to see. Some can go longer, some can go shorter here, and see Emily Howe catching up to the back of Christina Ryan here to put her 1 down in the short term.
Hey, Christina Ryan, the pace stabilized Christina Ryan. She stopped losing as much time as the stage got on, but she will go a lap down here. That wounded car, obviously from the lap 9 caution. Probably not going to make it too awful difficult for Hal. Goes to the bottom lane. Hal sort of stays off here. Staying out here.
No reason to press it. No pressure from behind. Hagen's 1.7 back. So you don't want to risk end up making a mistake or end up getting into Christina Ryan and end up causing your own caution or getting involved in a wreck. So, ooh, that's Sharp
really
was drift up
Sharp.
there.
Yeah, Peltier Sharp bobbled it on the pit exit. Peltier Sharp now several laps down. It looks like 3 laps down there for the 18 of Sharp.
Correct.
And again, if you can make it to lap 50, everyone's expected to pit before this point. But if you make the lap 50, that's 40 laps per stint. And that would get you to 30 on just an extra stop, because you'd pit then on about you'd pit on lap 90. So, Emily Howell going to see if she can stretch it out. Caution's out, though.
Yep, and that is for, trying to
Logan
see,
McKenzie.
it was for Logan McKenzie, and you can see the smoke out of 2.
Car stuck there on the apron.
And I think Gaiman was involved as well, as he is slow up the apron is on the high side out the back wall. So I think
Logan McKenzie's still struggling there to try to get it rolling.
Yeah, Gaiman's got good amount of damage there. So I'm gonna guess that 61. I don't know if he was involved or if he was a passenger in it. We'll have to wait and see on the replay, but we know at least those 2 cars were involved. And it's going to be interesting because top 7, obviously Henderson, obviously McKenzie was involved in the wreck, so maybe we'll count him in this consideration. But Henderson, Height, Acosta, Hall, Hagen, Howe all stayed out, so they got rest of the field at least 1 down at the moment until weight rounds happen. So we'll take a look at the replay here.
This is between McKenzie and Josh Gaiman.
Ooh.
Gaiman just kind of runs him over. I think Gaiman had already pit, and McKenzie hadn't.
Yep.
And McKenzie kind of crowded up in the same lane as Gaiman. Gaiman had the advantage, and when McKenzie had to check up because of the lesser grip, it created a giant impasse there. But
yeah,
we'll take a look again. We'll kind of go on board here with Josh Gaiman. This is Logan McKenzie's on board, so I guess we'll go there first. Over for the back, you see he just gets tagged there by Gaiman. Look at Josh Gaiman's perspective here next.
Ooh,
yeah,
right in the corner
McKenzie was just checking up and actually went a lane lower. But Gaiman, just that little bit of overlap. There's a lot of difference there, and you see the damage there on the right side. Already having been tagged on the left side by Christina Ryan early on in this race.
Yep.
Now gets a little bit of karma on that one.
Well, it is terminal as he is pulled behind the wall, so his day is done for that 61. So that accident has taken him out of the race, and he will at fairly slot into P17 when all said and done, because obviously Peltier Sharp is still behind, but Sharp will eventually pass with laps remaining. But as we were watching this replays, top 6 all pitted, actually 7 including Henderson, and McKenzie obviously still in pit lane. So that's going to allow everyone else that pitted before will get the wave around, but they'll be farther back. So it's actually worked out quite nicely for some drivers like Ruby Acosta and Christina Ryan. Obviously stays on the lead lap here.
So Christina Ryan was the free pass recipient.
Thank you.
That's what I was about to kind of interject with. So Christina Ryan, free pass recipient, and a godsend there for the 80 car, who can now come in, take some more repairs on the number 80 machine, and try to get that car back in running order. But a bit of a life raft there for the 80 machine. Something so motorsports is one car falls out, another car gets a second chance at life.
Yeah. Well, Gaiman did just rejoin, so maybe Gaiman will put some laps out and see if he can maybe capitalize on something here. So we'll wait and see how that all plays out. But regardless, yeah, big winners there. Kelly Height, Ruby Acosta, Blake Henderson easily gain a lot of spots there in regard to where they were on track.
McKenzie coming down pit lane for some more damage repairs as well in that 04 machine.
Yeah, weirdly, he'll actually benefit, even though he was technically in the car. He'll technically benefit, even though the car is obviously wounded. If you can get it somewhat decently fixed, he still will be somewhere decent. Like, it's not the end of the world.
We saw how much just a few laps was worth on tires. You look at the likes of Emily Howe. Emily Howe been on lap 46, Dunny on lap 44. So Denny's probably in the best shape of everybody right now. Zach McBride on 36, but Zach McBride I don't think was really aiming to be in contention. I think he was kind of just pitting just out of comfort there. You look at Brian Pinnell, lap 42, Nick Prezi, lap 40. All these drivers now getting the wave around here. They will start at the end of the longest line, which will be the inside lane here. So we'll have rows of 3 and then a giant tail to get this one started and ready to go here. Logan McKenzie will restart this race in 7th position, but everyone's still having to gain a lot of time here as they enter turn 3.
Yeah, some drivers getting caught back up here. Well, they'll get caught up nicely as they're pulling off 3, coming into 3 right now. They'll get caught up just as the pace car is going to take the left in the pit lane.
Pace car pulls in for the second restart of the night. It's Emily Howe and John Hagan, front of the field. And away we go. Hagan on the outside lane will take the early advantage. As we start lap 50 of 130. Dustin Hall, Ruby Acosta, side by side for 3rd.
We know Ruby Acosta's great. Got some great short run pace here. She's very fast at 40, but we saw kind of struggle as the run's gone on. Same with Callie Height. She's definitely good on the opening stuff, but I worry that, again, burns the stuff up a little bit too early. Could easily put her in a bad spot. So you can see a lot of argy-barginess in the back there. Logan McKenzie in 7th, currently under pressure from Toby Estes. They're just trying to find their footing and try to find the placement they need to put the car.
Watch out, Henderson clipped the white line. He'll drop a couple positions here, save that car very well, but it'll get passed by both Estes and McKenzie. He'll drop down to 8th place. Ruby Acosta and Callie Height, teammates there for Queen's Design, side by side. Callie Height on the outside lane, that pink car. Ruby Acosta in the white and black. Callie Height making her way up to 2nd place.
Only thing I got to worry about, though, is she going to burn her stuff up here going for the lead? Obviously, you want the lead. For someone, Callie Height, great driver, hasn't led this much in this series so far.
Hasn't led any.
Yeah. So it's a new site. You want to be up there. I can experience that. You want to lead. You want to be up front when you're fast. But I wonder if she is in sprint mode, not marathon mode right now.
Hey, 100% in sprint mode right now. This is all about personal ambition right now. Callie Height, outside lane. Acosta staying on the outside lane, so teammates there for Queen's Design, 1st and 3rd.
Could be first and second in the second here.
It's all about positioning. It's just all about getting to that 1-2 position. That team's never had a 1-2 in this series so far. Just, even if it's temporary, just the idea of being able to do that for drivers that initially didn't expect to be this far up the order is a phenomenal idea. Callie Height won the championship in Formula Atlantics earlier this year. Has not had a run of form in the LMP3 class in the Prototype Sprint Cup. But what a sight this is. Callie Height leading laps for the first time in the ABN AdminBoxx Cup Series.
Yeah, you love to see it. You love to see some drivers that have led laps in this series get to lead some laps, and not even like laps under caution, actual laps on the surface.
Ruby Acosta made it to second place, so screenshot it while you can, fans of Queen's Design. It's a 1-2 so far, with Callie Height and Ruby Acosta leading the field. John Hagen third, Emily Howe fourth. Then Dustin Hall fifth, Toby Estes, Blake Henderson, Logan McKenzie.
Oh, Ruby Acosta wants a point to the lead now. Callie Height's had her fun, so the other Queen's Design teammate wants to be like, all right, you've had some fun, let me take some of this point and lead some laps.
Now the drivers led so far in this series, but that's about to change. Ruby Acosta now on point, but now the field's coming in to spoil the fun. They're going to have a couple laps left here.
Here comes the bucket of cold water, the wake up from the dream. As Callie Heights is going to get strained here on that outside line. 2 cars, 3 is... Hall is going to be side by side.
It's all about just the occurrence of being able to be up front and being able to say that you've led laps in this series. It's not easy with how talented this field is. Doesn't matter if it's 38 cars, doesn't matter if it's 36, doesn't matter if it's 19 cars. The talent at the front of this field is still immaculate. So Callie Height will fall down a little bit here. Down in the top 5, will eventually kind of trail down to where Alfred Denny is here in 8th place, 9th place, thereabouts. But staying in this conversation, Ruby Acosta, however, got back to the bottom lane and has now begun to pull time on John Hagen. John Hagen still looking for his first win. Same with Acosta, looking for hers. And they're both sitting ahead of Emily Howe, who we know has that ability to really kind of poach results with that tire saving, that long run pace that has really been untouched and unmatched in this series so far. Emily Howe saying again, patient in third, knowing that there's time to move, and that time right now isn't now. Side by side a little bit further back, Estes and Henderson, that is for 6th place. As Heights slotted into the top 5 firmly in 5th place, up 11 spots from her starting position.
Yep, it's like a fine course meal. You don't want to rush it, you want to savor it, you want to taste it. And Emily Howe is doing that. She's just playing what she needs to play. She's hitting the mark she needs to hit. She feels comfortable right now. So it has to play out in that regard.
Top 9 cars all very much nose to tail. Christina Ryan got more repairs done on the number 80. Still not where she wants that car to be, but it looks a lot better than what it was just 20 laps ago. The number 80 machine, I think, probably one more good caution stop away from being back where she needs to be able to contend with the rest of that top 10.
Yep. She's definitely hoping for one at the very least.
Yeah, hoping for at least one more. And I think a lot of drivers would be hoping for at least one more to really simplify this race up, because right now, as it sits, it's still a 2-stop race from here.
Yeah.
Front of the field, Ruby Acosta now under threat once more from John Hagen. I think this time the threat's going to be a little bit more overwhelming. Acosta leads this lap, lap 60. As we start lap 61, Hagen's going to move to the inside lane. Acosta, I don't think, is going to pose too much of a defense here, as Hagen has the grip there on the inside lane. They stay side by side. Acosta in the outside lane here, preventing Hagen from getting that full momentum run through 3 and 4. Preventing the side draft there, keeping enough space between the two until corner exit. Acosta will not lead this lap. John Hagen gets it.
Hagen going to try to go to point again. Hagen, another one of those hungry drivers that wants to win. If we look at this top 7, actually, even let's go over the train top 9. When 2 drivers have a win the AdminBoxx Cup Series, Ruby Acosta touches the wall a couple times, and that's what I saw during that last run. She really struggled. The tires fell off, and she was really kept tapping walls. She's found her footing here right now next to her teammate, but she's going to have to be careful here. She can't throw too many hits before she starts actually doing damage if she can't hit it flush.
Everyone right now sitting and trying to find that rhythm once again after the second caution of the race. Probably one of the cleanest races we've had so far this season, knock on wood.
Yeah, let's not jinx that right now. We're on good pace right now. Don't need a Murphy's Law this.
Exactly. Ruby Acosta sitting now in the 5th position. Kelly Height up to 4th. Really good run by Queen's Design cars at the moment. John Hagen leads this race ahead of Emily Howe and Dustin Hall, with Blake Henderson in 6th behind the Queen's Design duo. Logan McKenzie in 7th place, recovering nicely from that caution just at the really almost 50 lap mark. I think lap 45 was when that caution came out for Logan McKenzie and Josh Gaiman. Josh Gaiman did not come back on track here, stayed retired after 57 laps.
Actually, he did come out.
He came back and then retired again.
Yeah, he did a couple laps and then just kind of put it behind the wall.
James Wright, he got ahead of James Wright there. James Wright out of this race after 50 laps exactly. Yep. The A-Sharp, the last car running 15 cars in total.
Yeah, Sharp only 1-2 down at the moment. McBride and Wright, as McBride took actually a pit stop there, and he pitted kind of early off sequence, pitted on 60, so that's why he's 1 down, and Bradley Wright also 1 down at the moment as well. A little bit further back, you can see Henderson trying to challenge Kelly Height here, but behind that car for a while, Logan McKenzie, driver that was involved in that last caution, not showing any real effect from that incident question, was able to get fixed up, was able to stay on the lead lap with the help of the caution, even though he was the caution, and is now challenging Henderson here. As Henderson really went up the racing surface there, almost tapped the wall. And that's going to allow Logan McKenzie here to presumably get around here for position, even though Henderson is hanging around tough on that high side.
Yeah, McKenzie battling for 6th place there with Henderson. Toby Estes watching on in that 8th spot from the number 2 car. And Alfred Denny sitting in the top 9 pretty firmly, just sitting and chilling at the moment. Ryan Pinnell and Christina Ryan battling out for the top 10 at the moment. Ryan Pinnell, cleaner car, at home. Did not have the race he was looking for on Sunday in the A-Square Cup Series for ARCS. Looking for a better result here tonight in that number 12 machine.
Mm-hmm. I think he had an okay recovery drive, but still, obviously running top 5 near the end, or top 10, obviously finishing a little bit farther back, not what you want. But still, top 10 right now, good for the number 12 machine. We'll cut back up here. Emily Howe slowly creeping her way forward in 2nd, but with Dustin Hall kind of chasing her tail here. They both are similar to what we saw under stint number 2, where it was Howe and Hall, I believe, were chasing down Toby Estes. It's now Howe and Hall again chasing down John Hagen.
Yeah, Hagen was the one that kind of made out like a bandit last time around because he kind of waited for the top 3 at battle before he went.
Howe in the wall there just a bit. Car got stuck.
It stayed in there for a little bit there too, and that's going to slow her down. And Dustin Hall's going to squeak on by for 2nd place here.
Better take out the recording camera right there. You do not see mistake off
no,
the Emily Howe.
Emily Howe, last time we were in this kind of position, Emily Howe won this race. Her most dominant win so far, that was at Kentucky. Again, almost a month ago. Not the most dominant performance here tonight in Atlanta. But again, still a lot of race left as we approach lap 70. Emily Howe once again going back there on Dustin Hall, trying to battle to get the 2nd place back. As they battle, it gives John Hagen more wiggle room, 8/10 the gap to the race lead. Nick Pressey in pit lane.
Mm-hmm. Nick Presley, obviously, again, not the strongest when it comes to tire wear, coming in early here, try to use those fresh tires to his advantage. But the only downside is we saw a lot of drivers pit before last caution came out and got pinned 1 down and eventually got the wave round, but couldn't gain the track position. So the dangers of the undercut here as 2 cautions to come out before we've gotten all the way through green flag pit stops. So in that regard, you got to be careful. But Presley taking the gamble here. They got bit once, but doesn't think he'll get bit twice.
He'll come out of pit lane in 13th position, behind Zach McBride. Zach McBride currently the 1st car off the lead lap. So if a caution comes out, he would be the free pass recipient, so long as he's not the reason for the caution.
And it's going to be him and McBride fighting for it. But Emily Howe already got around that 3 once, trying to find a way to do it again. Just chip it away.
A little bit harder to do that on older tires here. We know that there's a game plan here because Pressy made his stop. He's got one more stop to go. Theoretically, you can kind of split it down 30 laps, and I think that's what he's doing because he kind of went 30 laps on this last run. Go lap 70, then lap 100. That gets you 30 laps to a stint, and you're not really stressing the tires out too often much and going beyond that mark. We know that the pit window, I believe, the estimation was between 30 and 35 laps, according to our live chat. We think it's probably closer to lap 38 is what the limit is. So Pressy's still not pressing quite to that limit. But the big question here going to be, when does everyone blink? Again, the leaders pit on lap 46. They can go to at least, we know, 76. That's 30 laps for them. Nick Pressy got a wave around, so he had to pit a little bit earlier anyway.
Yep.
But we know probably the earliest driver in that top 10 that pitted was lap 41 for Toby Estes and 42 for Ryan Pinnell.
So they'll probably be the first ones to blink here in this top 10 at the moment.
Yeah.
While majority of those other cars were able to not take the wave around and pit under the caution.
Lily Peltier sharp in pit lane now. Scheduled pit stop for that number 18 machine. For scheduled service, Lily Peltier sharp went laps down early on, has not really recovered that. And it looks like as this at least while this pit stop cycle is ongoing, she will kind of just be behind the 8 ball a little bit more as we wait and see.
She's just hoping for more casualties out there on the racing surface right now, virtual ones, I should say, in turn allowing her to gain a few extra spots, because right now she's not going to be going any higher unless some other accidents happen outside of her control.
For Peltier Sharp,
right
it's still... Peltier Sharp, as we watch this battle for the top 3 kind of go on, Peltier Sharp, it's still mitigation because a lot of drivers in the top 12 missing today. We have to see them all back at Sonoma next week. But still mitigation there because Peltier Sharp's still gaining points on those she needs to gain points on. It just right now, it's instead of it being, you know, about 30 points, or really it's more than 30 points because you're talking over 100 points there for the top 10. Instead of being over 100 points, you're still scoring a little bit less. But for Peltier Sharp, still gaining some very valuable points there, sitting in 14th, and actually sitting in pit lane a little bit longer, over a minute there on Peltier Sharp stop. So some damage repair going on.
Yeah, I think she just wants to fix it up and get out there because it's almost undrivable. And again, kind of like I said, damage mitigation. It's better to have, if you know you're not going any higher, obviously with 3 down, 4 down, it's going to be very hard to get those back. And especially with cars ahead of you like McBride and Presley are 1 down that will take the lucky dogs away from you. And with no possible group checkers, it's better just to get it fixed up, make the car as drivable as you can, and just get what you can get remaining. It's not the best. It's just at that strategy. It's again, she's kind of hoping for circumstances. But like you said, she's in a situation where she's just trying to mitigate damage reports and trying just to get what she can get over what she can. But obviously, she wished she could have got probably more. As we see her again, back for a second, we keep watching it, just back and forth trading. Howe finally gets around the 3. In that regard, and someone kind of worth noting, Ruby Acosta is staying in touch with this top 3. Is it Height, McKenzie, and a few others have some pitted, falling back. Height's not too far back in regard to where you think she'd be falling.
Pit lane. Yeah, the way it played out for them actually worked out because they were able to gain those positions and really kind of hold on to most of them. Obviously, both of them got the lead laps to get those bonus points for leading laps. But they really haven't lost. Obviously, Kelly Height dropping back a little bit more, spent a little bit more of her tires early on in this stint. But still holding top 5 at the moment. The issue is that, obviously, overcut and undercut is going to be an interesting situation as Height actually tagged the wall there just a little bit and will give a spot to Logan McKenzie. As McKenzie sits now in the 04 machine in the top 5. Everyone getting closer to lap 80 here. This will be about 35 laps on these sets of tires. And we know that everyone's able to push a little bit closer to lap 40, about 38 laps. Pit window wide open. Some drivers pitting earlier than others. However, everyone in the top 6 at the moment. Everyone blinking so far up until 9th place. Toby Estes and Ryan Pinnell, those have stayed up the longest.
Dustin Hall just came in, so that's one of the top 3 that should be worth noting here. But like you said, Toby Estes and Ryan Pinnell going out the longest here, going to hit 40 laps in 2 laps time for Toby Estes, in 40 laps and another lap after that for Ryan Pinnell. So they are really pushing it farther than previously because they don't want to get snake bitten just in case something happens. They're running well, and you don't want to put yourself behind the 8 ball again where
you can really hurt yourself if you pit again.
I was wondering if 40 laps was the genuine limit of where these cars could go fuel wise. We never really got to see the full extent of where the fuel load went under that first major run, because the caution came out during the early stanza of that green flag stop. The leaders had not yet come in to that equation, and it didn't seem like they were really keen on coming in at that point. Estes and Ryan Pinnell, they come in this time, so it was like 41 laps is where the brakes are put on the fuel run, but they did get beyond that
some help
40
with
lap
the caution.
Marker. Yeah,
they did get some help with the caution though. So unlike our lead pack we're watching, there'll be a bit of a better understanding to see how long you can take the tank. Ruby Acosta coming in as well, pitting from third position. She'll cycle back at least to fourth as pit stop cycle through. But we'll have to keep an eye on Dustin Hall here as it plays out. He's going for the undercut here, and he wasn't that far away from Hagen as Emily Howe kicks out there. As we're actually focusing on Hall here, as Howe had another kick out moment off of 2. But we're coming close to the end here of the stint, and as the laps tick in, we can assume we're going to see pit stops within 4 or 5 laps for Hagen, Howe, McKenzie, and Height.
We're seeing Ryan in pit lane as well. Pitting from the top 6. McKenzie comes in from third. Does Cadillac come in as well? Yes, she does.
Yes.
66 is in. And it leaves
So
just the top 2 on their own.
And I think Hagen is kind of remembering what we saw at Kentucky. Howe went longer and was able to use the overcut to her advantage, and Hagen's got that back in the mind. Like, if I come in like Hall's going to have that big gap. But considering I'm running the same pace as Emily Howe, I can chase him back down, and he's confident in that. And 52 Hagen coming in, will Howe follow suit? No, she will not. So she can go just a tad longer. She can go probably max to 86. So 84, 85, 86 is going to be the pit window for that 83.
Yeah, John Hagen finished third at Kentucky, the last race that we saw something like this. So Hagen very much aware of how that race played out. Set the fastest lap in that race as well. And right now, a little bit off of the fastest lap here, which I believe still belongs to...
That belongs to... I want to say it's Blake Henderson, 31.33?
Looks like it. Emily Howe comes in.
Yep, Emily Howe coming in. Yep, it's Henderson and Ruby Acosta, 31.33 and 31.35 respectively for both. Dustin Hall did a 31.37 for his best. So we may see that lap time break down over the next pit stop and a half, as we see one more pit stop for most of the field here. Gap right now is about 6 seconds between Hall and Hagen, and it's growing a little bit as Hagen's out getting up the speed. So we'll have to see how it all shakes up at the end here. Stop is going to be probably, unless Howe has a miracle stop, is going to be Hall going to the lead, Hagen second. And then the question is, where will Howe be in regard? Probably, I'd say 7 seconds back of Dustin Hall.
It's going to be a little bit, because Howe just now leading pit lane. It'll be way more than 7 seconds.
Oh, you are correct. She had the slowest stop out of the 3.
That's on marginal, because it was only a tenth slower than that of Hall.
Yeah.
That extra lap is detrimental, because, again, the difference between lap times there between Emily Howe and Dustin Hall, when Dustin Hall came out on fresh tires, he was setting low 31-second lap time, still is. Emily Howe was in the high 33s. So she was hemorrhaging 2 seconds a lap every lap she stayed out longer than Hall, which is a little bit more of a difference in pace than what we saw at Kentucky a few weeks ago. So that's going to be an interesting little caveat to kind of keep a note on here. John Hagen just set his personal best, 31.54. So he's beginning to set the pace as well, but still only barely keeping up with Dustin Hall's pace, and Dustin Hall's been on those tires for a few laps now. Penalty lap 39. We're on lap 87, so almost 10 laps now for Dustin Hall, and he's still setting decent lap times. However, 31.87 that time around. John Hagen a little over 6 seconds behind, just 0.2 faster that time around. Going to need to gain a lot of time here as we look at the strategy overlap here. F1 has 1 pit stop remaining as we approach the final 40 laps of this race here in the next few laps.
Yep, Zach Bride just came in for another stop that obviously cannot make to the end here yet, so he'll have to pit again one more time. But regardless, one thing kind of worth noting is that one extra lap kind of saved Hagen in the regard, because Howe had to take a lap or 2 to get around Acosta, and Acosta is still in the coattails of Howe, while Hagen's had clear track to kind of run down Hall here, or slowly chip away at Hall. Well, Dustin Hall obviously getting around some lap traffic. Actually, it's Kelly Height. My mistakes. We just looked at the live stream for a second, as she is going to get around Alfred Denny and Ryan Pinnell there, as Pinnell and Denny are fighting for 7th, 8th position.
Yeah, 7th to 9th, the battle going on in your screen here. We'll pull up the battle box so you can kind of see what's going on here in this battle. Callie Height on fresher tires than the two around her, or the two that she's just passed. Pinnell on lap 80. Alfred Denny on lap 77 was when their last pit stops were in that regard. Callie Height going to use those fresh tires to try to leave everyone behind. And it should work pretty well here for that 66 machine.
Should work out quite nice.
Everyone's going to be closing in, however, on the race leader, Dustin Hall. Early pit stop gave him the undercut strategy. He had a 6-second advantage over John Hagen, and as we watch these final few laps sort of chip away here, lap 90 obviously is what we're on now. Lap 91, 40 laps to go in this race. But the gap is closing, as it was in Kentucky.
Yeah, I kind of wonder when you want to play here, because we know at the latest you can go 40 laps on a stint. If we assume the latest lap, Emily Howe went 84, that's 94, 104, 114. That's 124. You can come in, but 6 laps is not a lot of time, even on fresh tires, to chase it in. So you're going to come in a little bit earlier, but we know the fall off on the tires is about 10 to 15 laps for peak optimization. So it raises the question of when will a driver blink, and in turn, like Dustin Hall, he strapped himself to the undercut. Does he try it one more time, get himself a big gap, and just hope that Hagen or Howe can't reel him down before that last lap sounds?
I think so. So the issue with the undercut strategy is that a caution can come out at any time. We've seen this happen so many times.
Yes.
A caution can come out at any time. The thing is, we'll see if we can pull up the track map so you can kind of see how spaced out it is. A caution now is going to be a lot harder than it was early on in this race, when we had a cluster of like 8 or 9 cars battling at just at the cusp of the podium. Now it's a lot more isolated as far as where you go and what you find. Less cars on track as well. Riley Wright's out, Josh Camen's out, James Wright's out, Lilac Sears out, Irish George obviously failed out after 7 laps. So 14 cars, you see on the track map there on the right side of your screen, a lot more isolated. There's obviously little pockets of a couple cars here and there, but it's a lot more difficult now to draw that caution out. You're going to see cars maybe tag the wall more than they will spin as we move through this race. Hall can make that same call again. I would say the easiest strategy, and I'm probably going to be wrong on this, I'm probably going too far the other direction. I would say if Hall knows that he's going to get caught here by Hagen and by Emily Howe, and John Hagen's got a little bit of space here between himself and Emily Howe as he tags the wall there just a smidge, brushes the wall there at a 2. If I'm Dustin Hall, hang in there to about lap 105. That gives you about 10 laps, 11 laps here, to see how quickly Hagen can get to you, how quickly Emily Howe can get to you, excuse me. And then come in and have a 25-lap run. He can play with that a little bit. He pit a lap just before lap 80. So he could easily go, really lap 105 is the middle of that with the laps remaining. He can easily go lap 100. He can easily go lap 110. I would say lap 105 is probably a decent number to hit. John Hagen's obviously burning his stuff up here, trying to get to Dustin Hall. Those two will probably go, Hagen and Howe, they'll probably go a little bit longer as they did last time around. But for Dustin Hall, easily, you have the flexibility now to sort of kind of wait and see or make your move now. It's just a matter of how quickly John Hagen can get around, and I think that's going to be a really good telltale sign as to where the strategy is going to lie here. Because if you're Hagen and if you're Howe, you're going to want to probably cover off that undercut and make it easier on yourself.
Yeah, 100%. As right now, Hall is going to get caught here by Hagen. And Hall can put a bit of a fight here, but just looking at times, 33 threes for Hall. Hagen and Howe have been running 32 threes, 4s, 5s. They're going up the ladder slowly, but there's still about half a second gap between Hall and Hagen right now. And it's just showing on the times here. So how much of a fight Hall's willing to put up here because it's also in turn allowing Howe the kind of reel in here as well. So Hagen's going to try to get it quickly done here, hoping Hall doesn't put up too much of a fight.
Oh, he's going to put up a fight here. Hagen got clear, and Hagen will stay clear of Dustin Hall here. Again, John Hagen looking for his first race win. Same with Dustin Hall. Dustin Hall in his first start in ABN. And Emily Howell, 4 race wins in the series.
It's interesting because I'm looking at like times because he's going to get caught here by both cars on 99, around 99 here, which is about 20 laps.
Yeah.
And with your strategy kind of in that call saying go at 25, he get caught with probably 5 to go if he pits because obviously he was about 1.2 back on Hagen when he made that last pit stop. So if he could kind of hold on for 5 more laps, he could in theory get that gap again and make it work. However, the downside is that obviously Howe and Hagen may try to stop his undercut by cutting that off, and B, he's gonna have to try to hang on to a car that's obviously losing performance right now in the tire wear in comparison to the 2 cars around him, as he is now with Hagen and Howe both still under the 32 threshold. Hagen just barely gets over it, and Dustin Hall just close to the 34 threshold than he was the 33 threshold. That is a tall task to make another 5 laps and stay within touch distance. So we'll have to see how it all plays out. Obviously, Hall's got something cooking in that strategy book, but what is it going to be as he is really touching now? Does he even come in earlier? With the downside, obviously, he's going to get caught earlier as well. Just got past over lap 100, now lap 101. Hagen and Howe looking like the favorites right now to be in contention to win this race. There's Tobias coming on the pit lane. He took his final pit stop of the race. A few drivers also taking the last pit stop, including Tobias and Nicholas Presley at 97 and 94, respectively. Dustin Hall just wondering what he can do in that number 3. Currently in P3.
Dustin Hall losing some time here. Emily Howe crawling back towards John Hagen as this battle for the lead about to kick up again. Within the last 30 laps of this race, the Henderson Graphics 200, 130 laps, we're 102 laps in. As Emily Howe tries chasing down the 52. These two have battled on and off all season long. It's very interesting how the summer months, how the summer seasons of ABN have kind of gone through here. In the ABN AdminBoxx Cup Series, Emily Howe, 4 races won out of the first 6 races. Over in the ABN Champ Car side of things, tomorrow night, Bruno Miranda, 4 wins of the first 7 races. So, very interesting just how things are sort of mirroring each other across ABN's 2 largest series at the moment. John Hagen trying to make it 4 for 7 for Emily Howe, trying to prevent a 5 race win run for Emily Howe at the moment as we approach 27 laps to go.
Yeah, it's going to be a tall task here.
And Dustin Hall beginning to fall further and further back. I would not be surprised for Dustin Hall if he does make a pit stop here. The issue is that the undercut will not be as dramatic, I don't think, because I would assume that Hagen and Howe would probably cut it off pretty quickly as things currently run.
You would assume that, but we saw the undercut at Kentucky where Hagen and the rest tried to cut off, but Howe stuck to her guns, and it worked out for her. So you would think that, but at the same point, I don't know if she would, but at the same point, it's going to be quite interesting to see how it plays out. And I think, obviously, if Hall falls enough back, do they even consider him in contention for undercut? Because we saw with a second back and running about us, he was on 79.84, so 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, about 5-6 laps in that regard. He only gained 6 seconds on Hagen, and he was 1 back. And now he's 4 back. And even if he goes 5, 6, 7 laps, 8 laps, either Hall ain't going to get the lead back, or if he does get the lead back, it's only going to be about maybe a second or 2 in regard. So Hall's kind of in a bad spot right now that is pitting right now. So 25 to go. Exactly like you said, he's pitting, trying to make it with 25 to go.
I kind of figured he'd split it down the middle.
But I don't think Howe and Hagen are going to blink here. I think they're going to go until they feel comfortable to pit, because I think they'll give themselves enough time to run it down. With how far Hall fell back, I don't think that's in their mind right now.
I would be. You want to give yourself enough time to actually chase him down. That's the thing, because he will take the lead back here. It won't be by as much of a margin, I think, but he will take the lead back here. And it's just about like it is now in their hands right now. We're looking at the top two in your screen as they get ready to battle for this race lead, and you see how squirrely John Hagan is through the tri over there. It is in their hands now how much time they give Dustin Hall.
Yeah, some of the comments brought up a good point. In their regard, first of the top 4 to pit will win.
And right now, that was Dustin Hall. So that was the prediction there. Dustin Hall, first won a lap down. Obviously, most cars will in this pit cycle. John Hagan holds on to the race lead still. Toby Estes on fresh tires, trying to get one of his laps back. He's currently 2 laps down, I believe. He is 2 laps down. Actually, I believe he's actually 3 laps down. He is
Toby
3.
Estes, 3. You are correct. He's 3. Denny's 2. Ryan's 2. Henderson's 2. I mean 1. Because reading is hard sometimes. But right now, Estes is going to play a bit of a roadblock here for both Hagan and Howe. And the quicker Hagan can get around is going to affect. But right now, again, with fresher tires for Toby Estes, he's going to be kind of a pick and give some aero wash to that 52, which is going to give the 83 a chance to get a run.
Right now, Hagan, Howe, there's Christina Ryan, the 80, trying to get a lap back here, trying to get one of her laps back, importantly, while on the racing track, because when the leaders come in, she will get her other lap back. Hagan goes to the bottom. Christina Ryan goes to the bottom as well. Hagan drifts up the top. This might force a lead change here. Hagan, I think, was thinking about maybe trying to cover off to get ready to come down pit lane. We'll have to go an extra lap here. 21 laps to go. And Hagan holds on to the race lead. Stayed clear there.
Yeah.
But now really struggling to try to get down to the bottom line here. Emily Howe gets to the white line. Alfred Denny trying to make his way around and get one of his laps back. He'll do that.
Yep. So here's someone pitting on radio call. I think that was Hagan. So Hagan is coming in through the call out. And we know Howe at one more. Will she follow in? Will she break? It looks like she is trying to get a low down. She's going to...
Trouble! How did she get inside that commitment cone?
She was sideways. I was on board with her. She was sideways. I thought she was going to just go in the grass.
Oh my goodness. How do you do that?
That was the latest call you could make, and she still got it done. So both cars are obviously in the pit lane right now. It's up to the virtual crews.
That is the best driver in ABN right now, pulling off a save that only the best can. Phenomenal save coming down pit lane there.
Someone that has experience in these cars can do that, and that just shows right there. Race off. It's going to be Hagan, but Hall, like they're basically nose to tail here. Keep an eye on the left of your screen here. Hall going to come zooming around. There he is. And there's the 2 cars that are going to try to chase him down.
And they are nose to tail as they came in pit lane.
And it took, just worth noting, it took about 20 laps to chase down 6 seconds. Now they got 20 laps to chase about half that distance.
This should be easy.
Yeah, but the one thing Hall can kind of maybe count his guard on is if Hagan and Howe start fighting.
Yes. Yeah, if Hagan and Howe start fighting, Dustin Hall has got a really good chance here to really kind of fight it out. And they are going to slug it out here. This is going to be a slugfest between heavyweights.
It's the tail of the scorpion and the throg. If they work together, they'll catch Hall and can fight for the win between themselves. If they fight, they may still get there, but they may not. But it looks like Howe maybe understands that bigger picture. Right now, she's not overly pressing that 52 unless the 52 obviously makes mistakes. She'll be there. And they're going to set their sights on that 3 and try to get around.
Yeah, I think the undercut was the... Well, I don't think the undercut... I think the undercut was a good decision. I think
he had to do it. Yeah, he had to do it.
The issue is just that this track's more abrasive than obviously tracks like Kentucky, where the overcut actually ended up working out a little bit better. Dustin Hall, obviously 2.6 seconds the gap between first and second place. Emily Howe, it feels like the Jaws theme is playing in mass right now as we look at things playing out. 17 laps to go at the line. We're on lap 114 of 130. It all comes down to this. We've had 2 cautions in this race, which has been very impressive. One of the cleanest races, really the cleanest race of the season. and we could have a barnstormer Atlanta finish. Just like the old yesteryears. Looking again, Emily Howe closing in now as these two may begin to battle here. 16 to go. Dustin Hall navigating. That's Toby Estes, I believe. It is Toby Estes, the 2 car.
You're correct.
And now the 2nd and 3rd place cars will have to navigate the same car.
Oh, that was the pit car that hurt Hagen for a second there when Toby Estes got around. Then Christina Ryan quickly around. The 52's going to have to fly.
And Toby Estes will step out of the way.
Yeah, it makes you wonder how much Howe saved in the tank. Was she showing her true hand when they were battling for the last pit stops? Was she going full throttle?
Hagen's been able to keep a candle lit to Howe's pace. It's just that Howe's had the superior strategy calls 90% of the time.
Christina Ryan, McBride loose in front
it was McBride, and that's going to check up Dustin Hall significantly, and that's the 2nd lap car in a row that's really just completely eviscerated Dustin Hall's lead. Dustin Hall now leads by just 0.3. The charade is up, and it's now an all-out brawl at the front of the field.
Yeah, curtains closing.
There goes John Hagen, outside lane. It's one of those moves you have to make. Emily Howe does the same thing. They both get through. Dustin Hall drops to 3rd.
Dustin Hall now gotta kind of hope he doesn't fall in the clutches of Costa. Costa's 15 back, but in that regard, tire advantage could be enough.
I think right now Dustin Hall is pretty well safe because Dustin Hall and Ruby Acosta, they're not far enough different in pace for that to be a factor. It's becoming the John Hagen and Emily Howe show.
They're going to catch 2 cars here. Christina Ryan, Alfred Denny.
Yeah.
Ryan was a bit of a thorn inside for Hagen. Denny didn't play much of a factor last time by. After that, it's pretty smooth set. There's one more car they probably will catch coming through 3 and 4 right now. There's the 12 of Brian Pinnell.
Yeah.
And that should be, again, obviously with their pace, they may catch another one. But right now, those are the 3 cars on the horizon. These 2 of Ryan and Denny, and then maybe Pinnell before all said and done, and then we'll see what else is here. So it's going to be, Hagen's got to get around quick, maybe cause an ADV a pick. But obviously, Ryan, knowing the scene, probably not going to be too much of a thorn in the side here. But she's going to hold her line. She is fighting because she just went 1 down. If caution were to come out, she'd get her lucky lap back. So she's fighting Denny for position and fighting Denny for the lucky dog. She has a right to fight. They'll both get around her, though.
Denny up next here. John Hagen staying clear of Emily Howe at the moment. But Emily Howe, it feels... It's so much. It feels like it's a matter of time before Emily Howe shows what that hand is capable of doing and really kind of making that pace run for the front of the field.
I think it may be here. She's got a chance. She's on the corner panel here.
The issue, I think, is that Alfred Denny drifted up in front of Hagen. And Denny's going to move out of the way there because he realized that he was in significant danger from 2 cars that are not going to be lifting here. Coming to 10 laps to go. John Hagen fight for his life for Jacob Shingle Racing against, as we said earlier, the best driver right now in the ABN AdminBoxx Cup Series. You could argue probably one of the best in ABN, period. 10 laps to go, and it feels like a marathon.
I would not want to be in John Hagen's shoes right now, looking in that mirror and seeing this machine sitting behind you.
I'll pass.
This is already giving me sweats, and I'm from the booth. Like, sitting behind that, trying to keep that at bay for 10 more laps, it's going to be an eternity. And here comes Howe on the inside. What can this purple-red machine do? Can he keep the runoff and keep the corner? He's going to stay alive for now. 9 to go.
He is trying so hard to keep Emily Howe at bay, the championship leader. The 83 in second, John Hagen. New to ABN Series rookie. Came really in, guns a-blazing in the shootout. Finished the top 5. Followed it up with a podium finish at Daytona for the 300. Has gotten more podiums since. We talked about Kentucky, the last race where Hagen got a podium finish. Finished 3rd in that race behind Howe and James Gutta. 8 laps to go. And these laps, they're 33-second laps thereabouts. But they feel like they're 3 minutes long if you're at this point of the race and you're in this top 2 battle. Every second matters.
I will say one more thing as laps are ticking down here. It should be worth noting that 01, Harvick Gordon, the line prevailed, the high line. 05, Edwards Johnson, the line that prevailed, the high line, coming to the line.
Yeah.
just worth noting, you can see Hagen right now getting the runs he needs off that corner to stay at bay. As Emily Howe gets a little loose, will jump back in line. So it's going to be interesting. Like, I can't, like, right now you would say, oh, Emily Howe got this. Hagen, I don't know who's got this. You could easily flip a coin and be probably right half the time.
You generally could, yeah. We had a prediction going in the live chat, and 64% of people said John Hagen was going to win this race. We're going to figure that out for sure, though. This will be very interesting.
Almost touch.
They are going to give each other no quarters.
And the thing right now, Tobias is behind this right now.
Tobias has got the seat of the house.
Yeah, Tobias is hanging on. He's got a beautiful view of this. He's just watching this happen. Two heavyweights fighting. There are 2 lap cars up the road here, just entering 3 and 4. At the rate they're going, they may catch. We'll have to keep an eye on it.
This is the 2 Holland drivers, too. This is Ryan Pinnell and Blake Henderson that's up ahead of them.
Oh, doors open.
This is side by side.
Have a run.
But Hagen had the run on the outside lane. I think he stays clear here. We're going to find out as they enter turn 1. Still side by side.
And that's what Howe needs. Howe gets good runs in the middle. This could open the door.
I think Hagen went really wide there, trying to get as much momentum as he could. Yeah, he kept it clear there. He knew he had to run a little bit higher to get more momentum generated there on that outside lane. But now everyone's running a little bit higher up the track.
And to make things even weirder, Pinnell and Henderson, they're fighting for position. That's a battle for 7th right up the road. They're not going to give an inch either. They're side by side.
And they're both thinking chase points right now.
Yeah, they're fighting hard. Henderson obviously won Daytona, looking for stability. Pinnell looking to be Mr. Consistent, consistently get some good finishes. Right now, it's 2 fights. Henderson just hits the wall. He taps the wall, I should say, and it's going to...
Whoa! Hagen tags the wall!
And that held on, but it's not going to be enough.
Don't know if Emily Howe got into John Hagen or not. We're going to find out.
I didn't see any contact. I think that was clean. I think it was just
push. Hagen. It was all push all the time. And we'll take a look at it once we get to the end of this race. But that may have been the move that determined it all. Emily Howe coming to 2 laps to go here in Atlanta. Had to fight, and just as she did at Bristol 2 weeks ago, had to fight tooth and nail for this one. 2 laps to go. Now she can take a deep breath.
Yeah, she's got no pressure. She doesn't need to worry. But it's use that heavyweight analogy. It's 12 rounds, and John Hagen made it 11, and he just couldn't get to the last round. And it's not a hat tip. Hagen did all he did. He drove the crap out of that thing. But at the end of the day, it's gonna sting. But he should be proud of what he did regardless. As now he's got 5s clear of Hall. He should be okay to keep 2nd. And our top 3 should stay our top 3 as Emily Howe is coming off the last corner here to take the white flag lap.
1 lap to go in Atlanta. What a change of fortune. Was, again, not a straightforward race for Emily Howe. Did not spend much of the time in the race lead until it mattered the most. Opening time. Ryan Pinnell sitting in 7th, Blake Henderson in 8th place. But it's all focused on Emily Howe. Coming through turns 3 and 4 for the final time. It's race win number 5 of the season for Emily Howe. She wins at Atlanta. John Hagen will finish 2nd, his career best finish in ABN. And Dustin Hall on his debut will finish 3rd. Rubia Costa make this a career best finish. The number 40 comes across the line, P4. Logan McKenzie comes across 5th. Callie Height, her best finish of the season. She'll come across in 6th position, with Ryan Pinnell finishing last car on the lead lap in 7th. A good result for him as well. As we go through the order here, top 10 of all taking the line. Christina Ryan finishes in 10th place. Alfred Denny 9th. Blake Henderson we saw take the line in 8th place. A little bit of, I think that was a bumper congratulations there by John Hagen.
Mm-hmm.
And Emily Howe, entering the night, was 4 career wins in the series. Make that 5. status of juggernaut applying to the 83 of Emily Howe.
Mm-hmm. She is going to burn it down. Like, doesn't matter if you're first, you're fifth, whatever. She is burning that thing down.
We'll take a look at the pass for the race win in just a moment, watching it burn it down. Emily Howe, she did a phenomenal job tonight. The 83 car fought tooth and nail once again for this one. A crazy fight all the way through there. And this is the main battle here. Again, we're looking at Emily Howe, and we're going to ride on board. I believe there's John Hagen up in front, and we're going to find out just how close it was for Emily Howe. And Hagen just rode the wall just a little bit, and the weight unloaded just kicked him out. Emily Howe wasn't even close to him. And obviously John Hagen gave her congratulatory bumps there before her burnout there. But Emily Howe, that was her perspective as she took the lead of the race. Emily Howe, race winner here tonight. Did a phenomenal job. The 83 car, as you see there, at the start finish line here at Atlanta. Phenomenal drive by car 83. John Hagen so close yet so far. Once again, about to settle for a second place finish here tonight. We'll start with our race winner. We'll start with Emily Howe in our post-race interviews. We'll talk to the top 5 here tonight, starting with Emily Howe. Emily, this is Carmen from the ABN booth. You got a copy?
Hello.
Race win number 5 here at Atlanta, and another one you had to battle tooth and nail for. Walk us through it. Tire strategy once again prevailed here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, this set really just really burned the right front off. So it was really a game of just getting to the bottom and trying to save the tire as much as you could, and really not push until the end. I knew once John got to the top side there, that last run, I knew he probably had limited time. I just needed to bide my time until his right rear fell off doing that. So just played that out, and then tried to pit one lap after them, just to get that extra tire. Pretty much just standard iRacing fixed set racing.
Obviously, it doesn't, and you talk about the different setups there, obviously between the E83 sets, and obviously this was the last week of the iRacing sets being used before we go to Sonoma next week. It doesn't matter. You've won both the races on the iRacing sets. You've won 3 races on the E83 sets. Setting sail with that championship lead more and more every race that goes on here. It kind of speaks to just how impressive your pace is here at the top of the series. We go into Sonoma next week. Road course racing here. Obviously, we know how phenomenal you are just in general in these cars. Sonoma's going to be a completely different beast. What do you do at a race like Sonoma? How do you take on a race like Sonoma for those that are watching that maybe aren't familiar with the road course racing in these cars? How much more difficult is it in these cars compared to like the Gen 7 cars we see now?
It's definitely harder just because the next gens really don't have much tire wear at all on road courses. You can triple stint those tires if you really wanted to. So realistically, the tires are the name of the game just because they fall off so much at road courses. So being very patient with getting on the brakes and getting on the throttle and just really taking care of the car while also maintaining that speed and trying to get... Really, I mean, qualifying is super important at road courses just because, the odds of getting a yellow are slim to none. So it's pretty much just an all-out strategy race from the beginning.
It was a strategy race tonight. You didn't spend a lot of time in the lead, but still walked away with a 3-second gap at the time of the checkered flag here tonight. A phenomenal race win for the 5th time this season in 7 races. Race winner here in the ABN AdminBoxx Cup Series. A phenomenal drive for you in that number 83. Again, having to kind of rep the prismatic flag on your own as Cassie goes through her move going on right now having to spend time away. Doesn't matter if it's 3 cars, 2 cars, 1 car, Prismatic Motorsports on top tonight. Emily, obviously a phenomenal drive here at Atlanta as you battled and duked it out with Dustin and John. We'll hear from them and their perspectives here in a moment. But for you, before we let you go and kind of let you just kind of recuperate, a very quick race tonight. If there's anyone to shout and say thank you to, Emily, the floor is yours. Congratulations on, again, your 5th race of the season.
Yeah, of course, I want to shout out everyone at Prismatic Motorsports, all of our sponsors, Certified by Diverse, AdminBoxx, Agent Inc., Canonic Computers, ABN Broadcasting, all the folks that make this possible. Gotta thank you, Carmen, and Kevin for putting this on tonight. Gotta thank Blake Henderson Graphics for sponsoring tonight's event, and the City of Atlanta for having a track. So, everyone involved. See you again next week.
Emily, obviously 5 race wins, going to try to make it 6 out of 8 races next week at Sonoma. Emily, congratulations on that race win, and good luck next week on the first road course of the season.
Yep, thank you.
That was Emily Howell, race winner tonight. Obviously, strategy game played out well. She talked about the strategy game having to kind of save that right front tire. Have to save both right side tires, the right rear being the ultimate decision maker there, as John Hagan lost out on the race win by 3 seconds tonight with that incident with 3 laps to go. We'll talk to him up next here tonight as he finished in 2nd place, and we'll talk to Dustin Hall on his debut, a podium finish in the number 3 for Team Conti, and then we'll talk to Ruby Acosta and Logan McKenzie to round out the top 5. John, this is Carmen from the ABN booth. You had a copy.
I do.
So close, yet so far to that race win. Best finish of the season still, nonetheless, and probably one of your most impressive performances so far this season, going toe-to-toe with ABN's finest and putting yourself right up there in that conversation as among the series heavyweights. Walk through your race and obviously walk through that incident with 3 laps to go that ultimately kind of resigned you to the 2nd place finish.
Oh, my goodness. I just got to say, that was the hardest I've probably ever drove on this game. I was driving my guts out the whole time. The whole race, it seemed like I was better at saving tires. It was evident first run, catching up to them. I think I got loose and ended up a second back and was only like a half tenth quicker than Emily for that stint. So that put me a little behind. Caution came out, reset everything, and that's when I think I first got the lead back. And I don't know. That last 20 laps was a shorter run. So in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to push a little harder, but I'm not going to eat my stuff up, right? And pushing a little harder. I could tell Emily's pushing a little harder. She just pushed a little less hard than me and had a little bit more right rear at the end of it. I guess I just got wicked loose on the top and wanted to trying to get the power down because that was my weakest part of the whole racetrack. But it was fun, that's for sure. I was yelling, screaming, keeping myself hyped, pumped up in the car. So it was awesome.
Obviously, we've seen the amount of pace you have in that 52 car tonight, and obviously people cheering you on as you drove your heart out tonight, and that was evident from the get-go. And it was a clean race, too. It wasn't a caution-filled race. You had 2 cautions, you had green flag pit stops to determine that, and that 52 car stayed up front the entire way through. How much confidence does that bolster you with? Obviously, Sonoma next week going to be a completely different challenge, but how much confidence does that bolster you with that? That first race win is coming.
Yeah, I feel pretty confident. Before this season, I hadn't really given much thought to these Gen 4s, but I think I'm finally gotten the hang of it. There's just that skosh I need to figure out. I'm obviously going to be terrible at the road course. I've already started my practice for it. But I feel like the right set of circumstances, the right time, I feel like I'm going to put it in victory lane. This should have been, my 3rd straight top 3, I think. I think last week at Bristol I had a top 3 car, if not a race-winning car, but things just didn't go our way last week, and this week they did, almost. But yeah, I'm feeling pretty confident for the rest of the season.
Obviously, you look at Sonoma, obviously next week, that's the next race coming up, but obviously for you kind of look further beyond that. You look at Talladega, obviously, which is we know how good you are on the plate tracks already. Then Motegi, another track that's going to require a little bit of finesse. Going to be a lot of fun seeing that 52 car roll around here tonight. Still, overall, your best finish of the season so far. 2nd place tonight, getting ever so closer to grasping that first winner's trophy of the season for the number 52 machine. It's been amazing seeing you race and duke it out. Obviously, an unknown quantity coming into the season for ABN, but now people definitely know who John Hagan is, obviously in the number 52 for Jacob Shingle Racing. Before we let you go and kind of let you recuperate and kind of calm down after that crazy, frantic race that was just nonstop, if there's anyone to shout and say thank you to, Jacob, the floor is yours. Congratulations on your 2nd place finish tonight. A well-earned result there for that 52 camp.
I just want to shout out Jacob. He's getting married soon. I can't remember the exact date, but congrats on him. Big step in his life. Big thanks to him setting me up in this series, believing in me, getting me running. Thank you to my girlfriend as always. You saw her on I think the deck lid of the car on the side of the car.
Yeah.
It was a little funny scheme, but thank you to her, and yeah, we'll go get him next week.
Phenomenal job, Jacob Shingle. Second place in tonight's race. Now top 5 in the championship standings. After 7 races here, almost pretty well confirmed for the chase for the Cup later on this season. Jacob, congratulations on that podium finish. Obviously, we'll see you next week at Sonoma.
Thank you.
Phenomenal race there by Jacob Shingle. Second place finish tonight for that 52 car. Still his best result, and again, top 5 in points. 5th place right now in the championship standings. We'll talk to debutant, not a rookie by any means, 8-time race winner in the HTL Cup Series. We'll talk to Dustin Hall on his debut, finishing 3rd here. Strategy did not pay off quite for him, but when your minimum is a 3rd place finish, not a bad run of form. Dustin, this is Carmen from the ABN booth. You got a copy.
Hey, Carmen.
What a race. It had to take a little bit of strategy to try to get it out here. 3rd place finish, probably not what you were looking for, battling with Emily Howe and John Hagan there. But a good swing for the fence there in your first race, in ABN colors, I should say. Kind of walk through your race there and how that strategy came about there at the end, and obviously if you could change anything.
I'd say, let's see what, it was a 130 lap race. I'd say the first 128 laps was learning how to drive this car. This was my first race in it, so that was a challenge. There's a fine balance between overdriving and underdriving. The race started out fine. I was just riding and seeing what I could save, and Emily would share her tires at the cautions, and my tires were better. But I think I might have saved too much. That first long green flag run we had, I think I had too much right front because, I mean, I couldn't even keep the thing straight in the straightaway. It was a handful, to say the least. Accelerated wear on the right front compared to the right rear, but all night, but it didn't really feel that way anywhere but maybe the 3rd mark into the corners if you didn't back it up enough. Yeah, you mentioned took a swing strategy. I noticed that, during the race that our fuel window was, if we ran it out for that last long green flag run, and then we ran it out again, we'd only have like 10 laps or so, 9 laps on that last tank. So in a car with this much fall off, the fastest way to handle it is to divide it up evenly. So I gave it a shot. Wasn't sure where I lost all that time, but after the race, I took a look at pit splits, and they were both faster than me by a second on entry and a second on exit. So I've got some work to do in knowing what the limit is of this car. All in all, though, man, Carmen, I'm happy to be back. It's great to be talking to you. Sorry it took 8 races to get here, but it was fun.
It was a lot of fun, obviously you jump in for the first time in the series in ABN. We know how successful you are outside ABN. Again, record holder still in HDL, a record that's going to stand at least for another few months here. Coming in, you talk about, learning this car kind of on the fly. How refreshing is that challenge, having to learn a car sort of as you go here? Obviously, you work really with Michael Conchi over in the Coca-Cola side of things for the Gen 7 car. So you've kind of got that figured out. What's it like kind of going through and kind of hitting the reset button on what you know and taking it into a competitive atmosphere like this? How refreshing is that sort of part of the challenge?
That was a blast. That part of it was a lot of fun. It really makes me hate the Gen 7 car even more. This requires some drivers, and those two that whooped my tail tonight, they're a couple drivers for sure. And there was a lot of speed throughout the field. It was anybody could run really, really strong laps. But it really took special talent to do it lap after lap for a full fuel run and keep that pace without abusing your stuff. It was really impressive. I was impressed today.
It was a lot of fun, again, watching you race here. Third place on your debut in car number 3. Obviously, we don't get to see you that much because you are, again, having to play engineer and crew chief there for Michael Conti in the Coca-Cola iRacing Series side of things. But obviously, as you know, the doors open anytime you want to come in and race. Sonoma next week, obviously, if we get to see you or not, it's going to be a completely different question. If we do, it'd be fantastic. But before I let you go and kind of let you wind down for the night here, if there's anyone to shout out and say thank you to, Dustin, you know the drill. You've been on many of these podium interviews before, but the floor is yours. Congratulations. Your first race in ABN colors, and it's a podium finisher at Atlanta.
Thank you, Carmen. First of all, thank you for keeping that door open for me. It really means a lot. I know that, waiting 8 races to run in a league, really people are going to start scratching their head. They're going to look at the entry list and see who's this number 3 guy that he never shows up. He's even in the league, and then the door gets shut. But you've kept it open for me, so thanks to you and ABN. Always put on great shows and great broadcasts. Thanks to Team Conti, to Martin PC, EPI, raceepi.com, friends and family who watch at home, and that about sums it up. As always, I'd like to give a shout out to my late nephew, always racing Jimmy Strong.
Dustin, a phenomenal effort tonight as well. Always happy to see you race on track. Happy to be able to cover it here. A phenomenal performance, obviously learning on the fly, and it worked out. P3 tonight after qualifying 4th in this race. Welcome to ABN officially, your first race now in the books. Hopefully to see you again very soon on track. Dustin, obviously good luck, obviously crew chiefing there for Michael Conti, and enjoy the podium, enjoy the night.
Thank you, Carmen.
That was Dustin Hall. P3 finished tonight. We have a couple more people to interview. We're going to talk to everyone in the top 5. So next up on that list, she was streaming her perspective for Queen's Design. It's Ruby Acosta, another top 5 finish tonight for that Queen's Design machine as she moves up in the podium order. Ruby, this is Carmen from the ABN booth. You got a copy?
Hello. Yes, I do.
What a drive. P4 tonight. A good result there for Queen's Design on the number 40 machine. Another good top 5 result for that number 40 car. Walk through your race. Obviously, it got a little bit there lonesome at the end as you kind of sit on your own little island, but your own little island in 4th place. A good show of form here tonight. How was your race? And obviously walk through the strategy calls you had to make tonight.
Yeah, I was just following the leader, really. I had a lot of the time I saw people saving their tires on the bottom line, but every time I tried the bottom, I didn't really feel comfortable on it. And people probably watching the broadcast was like, why is she on the top the whole race? But like, I just felt really comfortable at the top. I didn't really feel like it made a difference. And yeah, I mean, the top was just fast for me, and I felt really comfortable and just had more grip there, more speed. I mean, like maybe a little bit of a tire difference, but I mean, at the end, it didn't really matter there, and I was able to clear Logan McKenzie behind me for 4th. And yeah, 2 top 5s in a row. I feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, phenomenal effort there. Obviously, you've had good races before. You look kind of, even going before this, obviously Kentucky and Auto Club, not where you wanted to be. But you had an 8th and a 9th there, Indianapolis and Las Vegas. We knew the pace was there in that number 40 machine, and now it's come out in full bloom. You got to lead laps, which was an important little aspect here. Your first time leading laps in the series. Both you and your teammate Callie Height got the lead laps in this series tonight. What was it like being out front? Obviously, you talk about running the outside lane and getting that momentum to be able to get to the front, and it paid off tonight. You gained positions based on where you started. What was it like leading laps here tonight for the first time in the series? Obviously, it's been a long time coming all season long.
It felt like it wouldn't really last that long because I knew I was pushing, and I knew I was going in, and it's not going to last long because I know that Emily and John were really experienced compared to me, so I knew that I was going to have to pull off something special to catch them. But I mean, honestly, I don't know. I don't know how I felt. I'll have to get back to you on that one.
Obviously, a fantastic job tonight. Obviously, you follow up your 5th place from last week with a 4th place tonight here at Atlanta. Sonoma next week, and obviously we had this conversation I think a couple weeks ago at Bristol, talking about Sonoma, that first road course coming up. You come from more of the sports car background here, but you're showing that prowess in IndyCar you drive at this point in time. Going into that race next week, with how challenging Sonoma is compared to, like Watkins Glen later on this season, how are you feeling going into that race, that first road course race this season, to try to continue to kind of bring results like these top fives in for Queen's Design?
I'm actually pretty excited. Sonoma's a pretty tricky track, and I've never really been the best at it, but I mean, yeah, it's something that feels familiar, but like it's in a new flavor. So, and the car seems pretty fun there. So I can't wait.
Ruby, you had a phenomenal race tonight. Led 6 laps tonight. Did a massive points haul for you as well, as obviously we get closer and closer to the chase running here. Right now, you sit 4th in points, just 3 points off the top 3 in the standings. A phenomenal result tonight. Before I let you go and kind of let you unwind and relax here, if there's anyone to shout and say thank you, Ruby, congratulations on another amazing top 5. That chipping away more and more at those results here tonight. Congratulations on it.
Thank you. I'd like to thank my sponsor, Whale Nap Designs. Definitely check out their Patreon. I'd like to thank the Racing Heart Universe for supporting me and being a great community. And I want to give a shout out to Paige Morton. I know that she was having a really bad week last week out, and she got out of the hospital, I believe. So I'm just sending some love to her, and hopefully she feels better to race soon in this series.
Absolutely agree with that. Hopefully, Paige, obviously our well wishes to Paige Morton. Hopefully she gets better as soon as possible there. Just in general, completely well regards there. Ruby, again, top 4 finish tonight, 4th place here at Atlanta. So once again, improving that career best finish as we head into Sonoma next week. Ruby, congratulations on that result. I hope to see you next week at Sonoma. Enjoy it.
Thank you.
That was Ruby Acosta, 4th place finish tonight. We have one more person to talk to, and it's a new person in the interview queue. Logan McKenzie, series rookie, debuted last time out at Bristol, and follows it up with a 5th place finish. And it was not the easiest race for him. He had the most interesting time getting back to the top 5. Logan, this is Carmen from the ABN booth. You got a copy.
I gotcha.
What a race, and it wasn't the easiest one for you here. Obviously, that early contact there had to give you a little bit something to sort of chip away at, but it ends up turning into a top 5 finish for your second race in ABN. Walk through your race and obviously recovering from that spin and contact there early on.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised at the start of the race. Lost a couple of positions, couldn't really find where people were finding pace, high line, low line, just in general. I mean, this is my second race in the Gen 4, so I'm still getting used to where the limit is as the tires are warming up. But over those long stints, I was saving tires way better than most people ahead of me. I was gaining positions off of the end of those stints. I think if we had more cautions, I would have had more trouble coming back up. But, the wreck, it was surprising, but when I came down to pit lane, they told me I had 60 seconds of optionals. I was able to get most of them knocked out on that caution and kept me on the lead lap. So overall, just very lucky to get out of that incident. But I then still had to go another 70 or so laps, and that was difficult in and of itself. Lots of really close racing. Ruby and I had some great battles in one of those earlier stints, and then later on, it was an interesting sort of strategy going on at the end of the race there. I think everyone just kind of pitted off of Emily when she came in on lap 110. I had been considering pulling an undercut on Ruby, and I think it might have gotten me more in play for that position, but after the wreck and everything that happened in the race, I was just happy to play it safe and go for the top 5, and yeah, I'm pretty proud of that.
Obviously, it worked out, obviously, in your favor, obviously kind of rebounding and getting that top 5. You talk about your second race in the Gen 4. Is it just overall, again, a lot of people learning these cars on the fly. What's the biggest takeaway you've had from your first 2 races? Obviously, it's been a bit of the lion's den as far as what you were kind of thrown into for that, coming in at Bristol, jumping in there at for obviously the most difficult short course race of the season, and now going through one of the most abrasive intermediates. What has been the thing that's kind of stuck out to you these first couple races, as far as like what you feel like you need to kind of tackle on the biggest here?
Honestly, I think my biggest takeaway is the car has a lot more grip than I expected. I think before doing this, the last time I seriously drove oval on iRacing, the car tomorrow back in 2011, very different. Not a whole lot of that knowledge carries over. I've driven some of the 1987 car in the intervening years, but I mean, it's just interesting. I feel like there's so much more pace and grip for me to use up, despite the car feeling like it wants to kill you on every corner exit. And even today in the tri-oval, some wheel spin. But despite that, you know, I think it's not been as hard as I expected. Like, I mean, Bristol is brutal, and I felt like I did okay there. You know, the incident was unfortunate. I got the karma back today. I got spun. It happens, and you know, made the most of it.
Well, obviously, it worked out for you here this evening. Top 5 results, which you clawed back to, made up 3 spots based on your starting position, so you still gained on that perspective there. A phenomenal performance there. Again, your second time in these cars, and you get a top 5 going. Obviously, a phenomenal performance all the way around. Sonoma next week, though, going to be an even more interesting challenge. But before we let you go and kind of let you get ready for next week's race at Sonoma, if there's anyone you want to shout out and say thank you to, the floor is yours. Congratulations on a phenomenal recovery drive there. Obviously, it could have gone one of 2 different ways, and you made the most of it tonight.
Yeah, so I would say, you know, shout out to D Damn Boys. She just got done running the Pixel Car Touring League. I had a lot of fun racing in that. I do touring cars for the most part. I raced Sonoma in that league as well as my own, so I think that experience is going to help me going into next week. But yeah, that league has wrapped up for now, so hoping to have some good times here.
Well, Logan, you did a good job tonight. Obviously, you're more than welcome here in ABN. Congratulations on a top 5, your first top 5 of what I'm assuming with your resume going to be many here in ABN competition. Congratulations on that result. And obviously, we can't wait to see the number 04 car at Sonoma next week. Enjoy the result tonight, and obviously, you're ready for road course racing next week.
Thanks for the show, guys.
That was Logan McKenzie, 5th place finisher here tonight in Sonoma. The full race results now on your screen. Race 7 of the AdminBoxx Cup Series season. Emily Howell, race winner for the 5th time ahead of John Hagan, with Dustin Hall sitting in 3rd place. Ruby Acosta and Logan McKenzie, we heard from all of our top 5 tonight. That's how they finished. Callie Height, best result of her time in the Cup Series so far. 6th place for her, ahead of Ryan Pinnell. His home track, a better result than what he had on Sunday. 7th place for him for Presidential Racing. Tombstone Motorsports, 8th and 9th at their home track. Blake Henderson at home, 8th place for him. Not a bad result. Alfred Denny finished 9th ahead of Christina Ryan, the defending 2022 ABN Open Wheel World Champion. Zach McBride, 11th place for him. Not the smoothest race, but not the loudest race for him either. He'll take 11th place as he moves on to Sonoma next week. Toby Estes skipped the race, came back, had a decent run of form, but had late troubles, dropping him 4 laps there at the end. 12th place for him. Still valuable points there as he gets closer to the chase for the Cup cut line. Nick Pressey, after having a 3rd place finish at Bristol, could not follow it up here tonight. 13th place for him as he fell out of form and retired 36 laps from the end of this race. Lily Peltier Sharp likewise could not make the finish of the race. 14th for her. Briley Wright 15th. Josh Gaiman 16th ahead of James Wright, Lilac Zier, and Albert George, who only completed 7 laps in this race, the 19 cars that took part in tonight's event. For those watching live, stay tuned. We'll be rating El Zendriani here in just a moment. For those watching on demand via our YouTube channel, thank you all so much for your support. If you're interested, follow us on Twitch, subscribe to us on YouTube. Make sure you follow all the links in the socials that are all around ABN's atmosphere here on Twitch and on YouTube. But on behalf of everyone here for ABN, for the AdminBoxx Cup Series, and everyone here at ABN Studios, my commentator Kevin Young, I'm Carmen Sienna. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, Have some fun in the week ahead. But until then, we'll see you tomorrow night at New Hampshire. So long, everybody.